game will never be the same.
We're humanizing the sales process.
One man is rewriting the rules
Tomorrow is the day where you guys get to the next level.
and taking it to another level.
And the next level, and the next level.
The 7th level.
You just feel how natural it is. You feel how open you become to your prospects. And in response, they usually become more open to you.
Founded by Jeremy Miner.
In my life, it's been revolutionary.
And his followers are feeling the difference.
His training has transformed everything.
It is precise and it really draws out emotions.
The sales world has already transformed. We need to catch up with it.
People around the world are starting to catch on.
We're going to tie in the new model of selling to your product or service that you sell.
These tools can work for anyone in any industry at any time.
It's not getting people to buy your product, it's letting them convince themselves to purchase what you're offering.
This new model is taking the industry by storm. And it's time to get on board before the ship sets sail. It's 7th level with Jeremy Miner.
All right. What's going on? Welcome back, everybody, to day 4 of the Talk Less, Sell More 5-day challenge. Anthony Vazzari here, but I hope by now you know who I am because you've been here for the past 4 days. So who showed up yesterday? Let me know down in the chat. Who was a 4-day stayer? Renee was, Jessa was, Linda was, Anna, Denise, Alicia, Chris, Brittany. This chat is firing. You guys are back. So how powerful was yesterday, by the way? The breakdown of the NEPQ structure. Did you guys learn something yesterday? Did you leave yesterday having leveled up your sales skills? Did you? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. I also want to know, and you can be real with me. We're not going to judge you. Who here is showing up for the first day today? Who's a one-dayer today? First day, let me know in the chat. I want to see. Is anyone here just showed up for the first day? It's okay if you are. We're going to forgive you. And the reason we'll forgive you is Jeremy saves the best till last, as you guys know. All right? I do want to do this. Before we get started, today's a jam-packed day. We've got amazing stuff we're about to share with you, things we have not shared before. But I do have to welcome the 322 new clients that we just got yesterday. So welcome to all of our new clients. Well done to you guys. Smart people. You guys are high level. You've invested in yourself. Give them a massive round of applause right now in the chat. These are people that realize there's another level to their skill set. They stepped outside their comfort zone. They did what they needed to do to be the congruent salesperson that gets after it so they can help their prospects do the same thing. So well done to you all. Let me know in the chat if you got started yesterday. Let me know. Say, it was me. I invested in myself. Comment down below. Now, let me say this. For all of you that did get started, the team is working really hard. They're going to be working all weekend without sleep, a few coffees as well. So please ensure we're patient in getting onboarded. To get onboarded the fastest, check your email. You're going to get an email from our support team. Just search 7th level and you'll find that. In that, you're going to see your logins. You're going to log into the Lightspeed VT training portal. From there, you're going to receive a training agreement. You're then going to authorize the training agreement. Once authorized, it'll take you inside the portal. Now, a lot of you are asking, where are my bonuses? Your bonuses are in the portal under the NEPQ Resource Center. So find that, click on that, and all the bonuses that come with the purchase are inside of that. So once more time, congratulations, guys. We look forward to helping you over the next 12 months lift your sales ability. So what are we doing today? Make sure you guys are paying close attention. You guys paying attention? Off the TikToks? Yes. Marilyn, you're here. Good to see. Yes, Sarah's here. Kerry's here. Lauren, Alonzo. Good stuff. So we've got an incredible day in store for you all today. Raise your hand physically. I know I can't see you, but physically, what did Jeremy say yesterday? even if they can't see you on camera, maybe you're cold calling, we do the action required because it affects. You change your physiology, it changes your meaning, it changes your tonality. So I want you to physically raise your hand if you would like us to show you the NEPQ sales framework in action from start to finish. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Some of you aren't raising your hand. I can't see you, but I know you're not. You guys raise your hands? Who wants to see this in action? Type in the chat box, show me. Show me. I'm talking start to finish. Because some of you have been saying, this is great, but I just want to see it in action. What if we showed you that today? That's exactly what we're going to be doing. So you're going to hear some of our clients, I'm talking top 0.1% in their industries. They're going to do a live sales call for you only today from start to finish using NEPQ in randomly selected industries. So do you guys want that? Yes or no? You guys want that? Yes or no? Bob wants it. Dustin wants it. All right. I knew I was in the right room. Who's a 5-day stayer, by the way? Today's day 4. Who's staying for all 5 days? Who's shown up from day 1, day 2, day 3, today day 4, and is coming tomorrow day 5? You guys are committed ones. I love it. So today is the training where you guys get to the next level because you see it in action. All right? You see it in action. You're going to see why it works. This is putting the pieces of the puzzle together that you've been learning over the past 3 days. By the end of today's session, you're going to have a complete understanding and clarity on how to apply NEPQ in your sales conversations. So with staying the entire 2 hours, maybe we go a bit over 2 hours and 15 minutes, would staying actually help you sell less? Or do you guys think if you stayed for the full 2 hours, it'll help you sell more? What do you guys think? Is it going to help you sell less or more? It's going to help you sell more, right? So I want you to block off right now in your calendar, block off the entire 2 hours and 15 minutes. Let your spouses know, let your kids know, get a babysitter, whatever you have to do. This is your time to invest in yourself and your future. As I mentioned to you guys yesterday, as a community, us all here right now, we have to raise the standards for the entire industry. That is up to us to do that for the people out there giving us a bad name. And remember, we have a moral obligation to learn this, right? We've got a moral obligation to learn this so we can help the prospects that we sit in front of every single day with problems, begging for us to help them, even if they don't know it yet. So who here feels they have a moral obligation to learn what we're about to share today? Let me know down in the chat. Jeremy's coming out in 2 minutes, guys, but he's not coming out if he doesn't feel you guys are ready to hear the Jeremy goodness, the Jeremy juice, which is about to get to another level. Yesterday, we stayed late. Who was here yesterday? There was a few hundred of you that stayed on late because me and Jeremy were like, hey, people have questions. I think we ended up going for like 3 hours yesterday. Who stayed late for the Q&A? Fortunately for you guys, the most committed, the most congruent, and you guys were pretty lucky because you got to stay back and ask us any questions you want and actually get the questions answered. Some of you were fortunate enough to do that because you stayed till the very end. Because right now there's a few thousand of you on here, but as the time goes up, the drop-off happens. We had people stay up to like 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning. So would you guys get upset with us? Because let me say this. I have to say this, right? There were some people yesterday, they got a bit angry at us. They're like, Jeremy Anthony, you guys said you'll be on for 2 hours and 15 minutes, but I've been here for 3 hours and you guys are still going. Why are you guys still going? It's 3 hours later and you guys are still going. I'm upset. Are you guys going to get upset with us if today we go a bit longer, train you guys for free to sell more? Like, are you guys really going to get mad at us? Is that a terrible idea? If we end up deciding we want to go a bit longer than 2 hours to train you for free to sell more? Are you guys going to like throw rocks at us for doing that? Do we have the right people in the room, guys? You're not going to get mad at us for wanting to stay back to train you for free, are you? To sell more? I didn't think so. I don't think those people came back today. This is the right people in the group, all right? So let's go through the prizes real quick. Jay is coming out in 1 minute, guys. I'm going to announce the day 3 prize winner. This person's been fully dedicated to all 3 days. This guy showed up He showed up at around 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. every single day because he is in India. How committed is this guy? He done his homework. He's been commenting and engaging on everyone else's post. He's got a 3-year-old. He's doing night shifts and he still showed up. This is the stuff that inspires me and Jeremy, seeing someone go all in. This guy is going to win the complete objection obliteration training, word for word, how to handle every objection. And we're also going to give him some Apple AirPods so he can listen to that in crisp audio. So, who do you guys think it is? Drum roll, everybody. The winner of the day 3 prize is Vikran Jingran. Vikran, well done. Congratulations. You've showed up. The team are going to be reaching out to you to coordinate the prize. Now, we've got the grand prize winner today. I'm going to be announcing the grand prize winner at the end of today. Make sure you guys stick around because Jeremy's about to come out and we're going to be announcing that right at the end. Okay? If you're listening to me on Facebook, we're shutting down the Facebook stream in 10 minutes. 10 minutes, we're shutting it down. Make sure you guys come over in the Zoom chat because we're going to post the link right now in the chat. All right? So, it's enough of me, everybody. I think Mr. Miner might be ready. Let's give the man a warm welcome. Type in "We Want Jeremy" in the chat as I welcome to the stage for the 4th day in a row, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremy Miner.
Now, I'm not that cool, but thanks for the compliment, man. How are you? How are you, Mr. VP of Revenue?
Just hanging out, being the boring guy over here in Gold Coast, Australia, keeping out of trouble, man.
Just trying to stay out of trouble, right? So, hey, I'm grateful to be with you again. I mean, this is 4 days in a row. Like we don't do a ton of these events. We're talking, a few times a year that we're doing these events, but when we do them, I just enjoy it. I don't know why. I just like hanging out with you guys. It's just a lot of fun. So I wanted to congratulate, from what Anthony told me, we had 320 new clients that got started yesterday. So if you're one of those clients, type in NEPQ. Type in NEPQ in the comments. If you're a brand new client, you just got started yesterday, maybe you got started this morning, NEPQ. Congratulations, because what's the biggest investment, the most important investment a salesperson should make? Well, that's their what? They should invest in their skill level. Because if we don't invest in our skill level, that means what? We just lose sales that we should be making. And more importantly, we're not helping our potential customers solve their problems and get where they want to be. Would I be right? Yes or no? Yes or no, would I be right that your skill level determines what your income level will be, and it determines on whether you can help people or not? All right, so let's go over what we covered real quick in the last 3 days. I'm going to fly through this, and then we're going to bring out some clients here so you guys can hear some role playing. It's going to be a lot of fun. So day number 1, we went over the 3 steps to becoming a top 1% salesperson, becoming the trusted authority in your prospect's mind. Day number 2 was on day number 1. Day number 2, how to get your prospects to overcome their own objections. Who was on day number 2? That was amazing. And yesterday we went over why your sales script, your framework that maybe your company is making you use, or some sales guru, is actually a lot of the words in it, a lot of the questions you've been taught to ask is actually lowering your status and triggering sales resistance. And we showed you different words to replace with, and we showed you different questions to actually tweak, and we showed you the tonality. Who is here for day 3? Okay, because day 4, this is the most important day. So day 4, what we did is we picked out 2 clients. All right, now we told you that you were going to hear NEPQ in action. So we picked out 2 clients who are in the top. Now this is hard to do. You know what's hard for us to pick out a couple of clients? We have a bit over 77,000 individual clients. That means salespeople like you, just individual clients. That doesn't include companies that might have 5,000 people each on our platform. Hundreds of thousands at that point, if you count all that, okay? So we just picked up 2 individual clients from 2 different industries, one that sells business to consumer. Type in B2C if you're a B2C salesperson, if you sell to consumers, people. And then we picked out one that sells business to business, B2B. Type in B2B if you're in B2B sales, okay? All right, now, what I want to know in the chats, what you want to learn from these 2 clients, because these 2 clients, they weren't always in the 0.001% in their industries. Like, they are literally in the point, can I repeat this to you? Not just the 1% of their industry, they're in the 0.01% in their industry. We're talking about the 1% of the 1%, okay? So do you want to learn from them? But what I want to know in the chats is, what do you want them to show you today? Do you want them to show you tonality? So if you want them to show you tonality, type in tonality in the comments. Do you want them to train you questions to use? Do you want them to show you objection prevention techniques? I want whatever you want to learn today from these two clients, type it in the chat. Do you want them to train you advanced looping, or how to get the prospect to let their guard down, or reframing, or pre-framing, or objection handling? Okay. All right. You guys ready for the industries we picked? Drum roll, please. Now I know everybody's like, pick my industry, pick my industry. Now I love you guys. We train 161 different industries, including all of yours. But I can't pick 161 different clients and put them on here, because we tallied it up. And for us to do all of that for you, 161 different industries, and show you all the scripts for that, we would quite literally be on here. How many days, Anthony? I think it was like 7 months straight or something. And I think we have to sleep a little bit. All right. So we've got two clients. So we have Caden Sanchez on. We actually brought him out on a panel yesterday. And do I have Jim Newcomb on? We brought these two on a panel yesterday. I have Jim Newcomb and Caden Sanchez. Do we have you guys out here, Jim?
Yep, I'm here, Coach.
Look at these guys calling me coach here. You guys, you're just trying to make me feel good. What's going on? All right. Now, we brought both of you guys out here yesterday on the panel and interviewed you a little bit. I was like, why don't we just bring a couple of these guys out here? It seemed like everybody really liked you guys. Now, one thing, Caden, go ahead. What industry do you sell in?
Insurance, B2C, like final expense, mortgage protection, general life mainly, sometimes IULs, annuities.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And then Jim, Jim, what industry are you in?
Yeah, so I'm in software as a service. So I'm in SaaS, which is more of like a B2B complex selling type environment.
Yeah. Okay. We wanted to show you guys the differences. Now, if you're not in life insurance or SaaS, because we realize that, not all of you are, right? What can you learn today? Well, we're going to train you tonality. We're going to train you body language. We're going to train you objection prevention and pre-framing. And we're going to show you frameworks that you can use for your industry. Okay. Now, one problem we did have, I will be very real with all of you. We were going to do live sales calls today, but our attorney said, legally, you have to get the prospect's permission that you're going to record the call with them, or the Zoom call with them, or the phone call with them right when they answer, and that everybody, you got to get their permission and ask them if they're okay with thousands of people listening to them. And I'm not sure, Caden, if you called a lead, if they would agree to that, or Jim, if a company would be like, yeah, sure, you got 5,000 people on here, let's listen. So I don't know what we were thinking. So we can't do that, but we are going to bring out other clients who are going to be prospects, and we are going to play full on out. These are not going to be easy prospects. We've already told them to give them crazy objections, and we're going to let you guys pick the objections you want to give them, and they're not even going to hear it in a minute, right? So do I have Jacob Griak here? Do I have Jacob Griak here? We're going to bring out some clients here. Let's bring up Jacob Griak here. He's going to act as one of our prospects, so let's bring him on here real quick, okay? All right. Now, what we're also going to do while they're bringing out Jacob here real quick, if we can have Maite do that, is after they go through each stage of NEPQ. So we're going to have examples of connection questions that I showed you yesterday, and situation and problem awareness and solution awareness and consequence and closing questions. Do you want me to stop the role play after each section and then show you exactly what they did? Like analyze it for you and pick it apart and be like, okay, this is why they said this. This is what they did here. Would that help you guys? Because you can hear it and you're like, wow, that sounds good, but I don't understand why they did that. Well, I do, and I'm going to show you what to do. Would that help all of you guys? Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, Maite, if we can pull out Jacob Griak. Do we have Jacob?
I am working on it. Give me 1 second.
Where's old Jacob at? Hey, all right. So what we're going to do now here, we're going to start the role play. We'll start it with Caden and a prospect, and he's going to show you the B2C angle. Okay. And then we're also going to show, Jim's going to come into the different stages and show you some different nuances for B2B. So there are the tweaks and nuances. We teach all that in our virtual training program. So if you're one of the 322 new clients that came in yesterday with the crazy offer we let you have for like 85% off one of our training programs. You're already watching all that training. And you're seeing the 51-hour portal. So congratulations for you. Okay, so I think I just saw Jacob here, but then we lost him or something. Did we? Did we lose him? Okay, now, here's what I want to do. I want you guys, Beth, why don't you go ahead and pull up that NEPQ sales structure? Let's move on to that next slide here real quick. Okay, perfect. Now, Caden, while we're waiting on Jacob to get on here, what do you want to, I know you call age leads. Tell everybody kind of what an age lead is in your industry.
Yeah, that's somebody who express some interest. It can vary how they express the interest. There are things called like data leads where they're not actually looking for insurance, but they were like trying to get a free gift card, right? They check a box that says, call me about insurance. And there are leads where they were looking for insurance and they just, for whatever reason, nobody ever helped them. And typically, they could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 years old.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And then you also call new leads. How do you get those new leads for your industry?
Yeah, typically the new leads for our industry, they're going to be generated via direct mail is one way. We do a little bit of that, and then majority through social media, SEO, lead generation. Okay,
perfect. All right. So here's what I'm going to have all of you guys do while we're waiting to get Jacob on here. Maybe he's have some, Jacob's a young guy. He had a problem. I think we used him to role play like a long time ago, and it seemed like he had a hard time getting on Zoom, but he's like 22 or 23. What's going on with this guy, man? Is he like an old soul, or what's going on?
What's going on over there? I don't know. We're going to have to ask him when he gets on here.
We're going to have to ask him when he gets on here. Okay, so Caden, here's what I want you to do. I want you to, now, you're in Utah, right? You live in Utah?
Yep.
Okay, so I went to college in Utah, and a lot of my friends still live up there. The Boy Scouts of America, it's kind of a big thing up there. Cub Scouts. Were you a Cub Scout or a Boy Scout?
I actually was not.
What the hell is going?
I know.
Anyway, so I was a Cub Scout. I dropped out when I was about 14 because I just got involved in sports and was too busy. But we had this thing called Scouts Honor. Anybody who was Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts as a kid, like I was, and we call it the Scouts Honor. It's like an honor code. All right. So I'm going to ask you to leave the room, okay?
Oh.
And I'm going to ask people in the chat to pick out the 3 objections that they want Jacob, the prospect, to give to you. Because I don't want you to know, but you got to give like Scouts Honor that you're not hearing it. You promise?
I promise. I'll take I was already a little nervous. Very nervous to role play in front of this many people, but we'll do it. We'll do it. I'll walk away.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure. So, and Maite, give me a time frame on when we're getting Jacob out here, so I know. Okay, so Caden, you leave, and then I've got your phone number here. I'm going to text you when you can come back in. Okay, and I'm going to give everybody Scouts Honor. I will not tell him the objections. Scouts Honor. Okay. All right. I think he can handle them. Okay, so why don't you guys post in the chat? Who in here sells life insurance, final expense insurance, mortgage protection? Drop in 3 like crazy objections that you lose sales from, because I want the prospect Jacob to actually give those objections to him. All right. So, and then we're going to give some objections to Jim as well. How about I'm not interested? Is that one you lose sales from? Like, oh, how about this one? We already have a policy, or I'm not interested. How about, oh, I'm not in, I already have a policy. Do you get that one? I already have something. Yeah, let's do that. I already have something. That's a good one. What about, how about one, I don't have the money? That's a big one you get at the end. Do you want him to bring up that, like, I don't have the money at the end? Money objection? Because that'll be good for everybody on here. I already have something for that. I don't have money for that. And then what's a third objection we want to give him? Let's see. Maybe the spouse objection. Would that work good for you guys on the B2C side? We already have a policy. I need to do more research. How about that? I need to do more research. I need more research. Okay. All right. Now let's do this. Maite, are we having technical difficulties getting Jacob on, or where are we at?
Yeah, his Zoom was glitching out. If you give me like 2-3 minutes, I can get him on.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do in the meantime, let's go ahead and bring up Jim. Let's bring up Jim, because I want Jim to kind of go over some different role plays with me. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Beth, let's go ahead and take that. Slide down real quick. All right, Jim, you're up first, man.
I'm up first. Well, goodness, what are we going to do with
You're
me?
getting up first. What are we going to do with you? All right, so let me see here, Jim. Okay. All right, Jim, now tell everybody what you sell real quick if they just hop on. What industry are you in?
Yeah, so I'm in the B2B software as a service space. So
Yeah.
usually the leads that are coming into me are like demo requests. Like people, they might get some emails from the SDRs, but usually they're going to go to our website and submit a demo request.
Okay, perfect. So what I want you to do is let's start with the connection stage, and Anthony, why don't you be the prospect? Anthony, if you can hop on and be the prospect real quick. And
Let's do it.
I'm gonna have Jim now. This is a booked appointment, so typically the prospect, is a C-level executive. They're not just gonna throw out an objection right when you get on there. But as you know, Jim, you could like trigger sales resistance where they kind of shut down and stay surface level, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't you kind of take them through some of your connection questions here, and then let's analyze it, and let's start there. Everybody, pay attention now. Everybody, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pay attention to Jim's tonality. I want you to pay attention to his body language, his facial expressions, and the questions he asks. Do you feel like the questions he's asking for his space is getting his prospects to let their guard down? This is really why connection questions are really important here, okay? And then we'll bring Caden back out to do the B2C part. Go ahead, Jim and Anthony.
Hey, Anthony, can you see me? Can you hear me over there?
Yeah, I can see you here.
All right, very good. Well, it's just Jim with ABC Company. How are you doing over there today?
Yeah, pretty good, man. What's going on?
Yeah. I'm just being boring over here, But yeah, it looks like you booked with my assistant Jack, just about looking for some possible outside help for your awards program, right?
Yes, I was looking into that.
Okay. And what was it that you'd maybe seen on our website or heard about ABC Company that caused you to want to have a conversation with us today?
Yeah, I was just looking at our current awards program and ways to improve it. I saw you guys. Looks like you're doing something pretty interesting over there. I just wanted to learn more about it.
People do come to us for improvements. Probably the number one reason folks would come to us for sure. And just so you know, I don't know if Jack brought this up in the emails, but these first calls are they're really pretty basic. Actually, it's really more for us to kind of get an understanding of wherever things are at now with your awards program and how you're running it versus kind of where you want them to be, right? Just so that we can get an understanding of what that gap looks like. And then towards the end of the call, if you feel like this might, if it might be what you're looking for, we can just kind of go over options for next steps, possible demos, that type of thing. Would that help if we went through that for you?
Yeah, I really want to know more about what it is you guys do and how it'll work. So
Yeah, we'll cover that for sure. It all just kind of depends on the program itself. So how many actual entries do you get every year for that?
It's about, I think, 30 to 50 right now.
Okay, 30. Was it closer to 30 or more up at 50? Where is that?
Probably around the 40 mark, I would say.
Okay, 40. And then when do you actually open up for submissions?
We typically do that around February, March.
February, okay. And then what do you actually have in place right now to streamline and actually automate that process for you? What type of system do you have?
Oh, we've got a current awards program, but it's mainly just manual entries. We've got a couple of, I got a
what do you mean exactly manual? What are you actually having to do?
Oh, I've got an admin assistant we hired, and they typically just manually.
Oh, you hired wait. So you actually hire a person to do all this?
Yeah, we did.
How long have you had to?
Let's stop there. This is really good. Now, some of you are saying oh, Anthony's being too nice. This is an inbound lead who booked on the calendar, okay, B2B. It's a little bit different. You're not going to have it's not like you're cold calling or you're, calling an outbound lead. They don't remember who you are. They've requested the information. So you're typically in this type of field, you're not going to have somebody that's cutthroat in the first 2 minutes. That doesn't mean they're going to buy though, right? As Jim, right? Before you learned how to really sell. Now, I want to focus on here what we're going to do here. So Couple quick things. This was good. And then we're going to bring out Caden when we get Jacob back up here. Now, connection questions. Where were we at the very beginning there? We were in the connection stage, right? So what did Jim do? Now, if he's selling SaaS, a program that streamlines awards so they don't have to manually do it, what problem do you solve, Jim, for these companies?
We remove the manual process, so it gives their employees time back usually and gives their members a better experience. So the members are more engaged, which means more revenue, and the time back means the employees are more productive. Yeah.
Time back means the employees are not being paid to having to manually do it. They're able to do the other jobs that they're paid to do, right? So it saves the company tens of thousands of dollars, like literally a week. Okay. So look what he did here. Okay. So it looks like you talked to one of my assistants, George, about possibly looking at help with your awards program, right? About possibly automating your awards program, right? Now, if I'm selling SaaS and I have a streamline program that helps that, see how Jim is automatically getting them into what? From the very first question, he got them into what? Results-based thinking. Right? You see what we did there, okay? And then the second connection question was here. Did you guys see what he did here? So, hey, when you were talking with my assistant, George, what was it that you guys were going over that caused you to, want to look into this further? Now, Jim, why is that question so important to ask there?
There's two main things that it does that are very, very crucial. The first thing is it reminds our prospect and also tells us usually what it is that they're really looking for, right? So that's really important because it helps me to even position the situation questions and maybe start to find some problems. Yeah. But the other thing too, though, that it does is it shifts them, especially like, let's say Anthony, he's an A-type executive. I want to get him into results-based thinking.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I do not want to give him the opportunity to start over. Yeah. So what do you got? What's the pricing? Right. I don't want to let him do that. I want to find out, get him into results-based thinking so we can identify a problem of his that we can solve.
Because Jeremy said, hey, is it okay? Do you mean that I need to cut people off in the conversation? No, you're not interrupting them. You're interjecting. Did you notice when he interjected with a clarifying question? He didn't interrupt and say, oh, well, let me tell you about my solution. He's like, when you said blank, I didn't understand. What did you mean by that? And then he focused the prospect back over to what he was talking about. So, Jeremy, that is an example of interjecting with a clarifying question, not interrupting with you talking. You will never have a prospect. Jim, do you have prospects that get mad when you interject and ask for clarification on what they just said?
Never. And not only do they not get mad, but especially even A-types, they want a salesperson that helps focus the conversation productively. So like Anthony, after I did my frame, he's like, yeah, I really want to see what you got, right? So he was about to take the focus off of him and onto me. I had to interject at that moment to maintain the focus on him and his issues that caused him to raise his hand and say, I need help with this problem. Yeah. If a lot of salespeople at that juncture, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll tell you all about it. Boom. Their status is down. The focus is now off of the prospect and onto them. Very dangerous place to be.
Exactly. You see what Nicole said there? She said, yes, I have a lot of prospects that ramble, right? And Jim, you had that problem in the beginning. You're like, they're always rambling. I'm like, that's because you're not interjecting with clarifying questions to get them back on schedule. Because when they start to ramble, their brain goes where? It becomes unorganized, and the calls go way longer. And you got how many, and what type of objections would you always get?
So then this is a classic thing. So I saw the chat too. People are like, is interrupting Anthony part of this? Not interrupting, but interjecting is very important, because when I interject and keep him sort of down the yellow brick road of the NAPQ process, we create a lot of clarity and we create a lot of conviction. So at the end of that, those are the qualities that actually prevent the objection from ever happening, right? If we don't do that, if they're rambling and they're all over the place, at the end of it, what's going to happen? Oh, you've given me a lot to think about. Yeah, I'm going to have to think this over. We're setting ourselves up for a think about it objection. So that's why we need to kind of keep the prospect on track.
Type in me if you get a lot of I want to think it over objections. There's a reason why you're getting that. And Jim is explaining why you're getting that. He doesn't really get that anymore because he helps control where their brain is thinking, Whereas you guys are letting them ramble too much and their brain becomes unorganized. Now let's talk about the status frame, then I'm going to come back to Caden. Now, Jim, why would you downplay it? Just so you know, Anthony, these first calls, they're pretty basic. And B2B, you're not closing on the first call, right? Because you're going to go from C-level executive, then to department head, then, there's steps you got to go up the ladder. Why would you downplay and say these first calls are pretty basic? Why not upplay it and say, this call is going to be really exciting. I'm going to talk about, why would you downplay rather than upplay here?
Because it's very, very important in order to put even, especially an A-type who just might, can we say top executives at businesses might have an ego, folks. They might not really want to tell you their problems. And if we create a formal business, I'm so excited to have this hard-hitting conversation, show you the value, right? Their guard goes up. We want to disarm them. So when I say, oh, it's just a really basic chat, really to understand kind of where things are at, right? Yeah. It disarms him and puts him in a position where he's going to be more open with me about what's really going on.
Causes them to remember we talked about, what's the first thing we have to learn as a salesperson? We have to disarm the prospect to get them to let their guard down. Is it easier, Jim, to make sales now that I've trained you how to disarm prospects compared to when their guard was up?
There are so many deals I would never have gotten in the last 18 months or so if they hadn't been disarmed and willing to share with me and say, I even had a deal at the end of last month, a really good one. Came through, and at the end, I asked the committing questions we'll go over today. I'm really excited, but oh man, I'm a little afraid too, right? Ding, ding, ding. And I knew right then and there, she was comfortable enough to share with me. She was a little bit afraid, but I knew, oh boy.
Yeah.
We had possible fear objection here.
Exactly. And most salesperson, they would have never told that to the salesperson. Yeah. They would have said, I want to think it over, when it's really just fear. And they would have never. Now, why would you say, and then towards the end of the call, if you feel like, hey, this might be what you're looking for, why would you say might be? We can talk about possible next steps. Why not be more assumptive here?
Because especially at the front end of the call, I don't have a lot of credibility. There's not a ton of trust and rapport yet because I haven't asked the questions where we'll build that up with the NEPQ process. So I want to be very neutral so I don't generate any sales resistance. So at the front end of that, yeah, it's just a basic first conversation. And then at the end of the frame, possible next steps that, if this might be a fit. So the prospect's guard is down as we take them into the situation.
All right. Is everybody learning? Type in me if you want to start acquiring those type of skills that we just showed you, which was pretty basic. Then you went into your situation questions right here. Yeah. And this helps you understand what their real situation, but more importantly, it helps who? Understand
helps the prospect. Yeah.
Yes. Now, did you see how he started seeding down? He's like, oh, how long have they been making you do it manually for? Now, why would you use that concerned tone there? What does that seed in their brain?
Because it tells their subconscious mind without me telling them directly there's a problem. It on the subconscious emotional level, because that's where the tonality hits. Yeah. It tells them, oh, I might be in trouble. And it seeds doubt even before we get into problem awareness. It's a very powerful thing to do.
Everybody, yes or no? Does that make sense? Well, even in situation questions, by using your tonality, we can actually start to trigger doubt in the prospect's brain that maybe what they're doing, what they have, whatever's going on might not be that good. And we can't say that it's not good, Jim, because then they're just going to get defensive, right? But our tone communicates that it might not be that good. Is everybody with me? Everybody want to learn that? Type in yes if that's something you want to acquire, that type of skill set. Okay, Jim, I'm going to come back to you here in a little bit with problem awareness and solution awareness. Let's go over to Caden here. Okay, let's go to Caden, and we have also Jacob here, one of our clients. We're going to have him act as a prospect. We have Jacob here.
We're back in action.
Well, Jacob, how old are you, man?
25 now.
Okay, you're old. The 25-year-old guy here.
I couldn't figure it out.
Can't figure out how to get on Zoom. All right, everybody give a round of a hand to this 25-year-old who figured out how to get on Zoom, all right? You're an old soul, right? Okay, so Jacob, you're going to be the prospect. And hey, I like that 7th level gear you got on there. Did you get that from the 7th level shop?
Hey, that's what happens when we work for the best.
I love it, man. Okay, so Jacob, you're one of our clients as well. And congratulations, you were recognized as Rookie of the Year in your entire company. How many reps are in your company you sell for?
What, Caden? Probably 20,000, if not more?
Yeah. 20,000?
Yeah, probably.
we got a client here that's playing as a prospect, Jacob, and he was Rookie of the Year in a company that has 20,000 reps. What industry are you in? What do you sell?
Life insurance. We do annuities, IULs, the advanced market style.
Okay, perfect stuff. All right, so Caden, we've got the objections. Is everybody ready for Jacob to give the objections to Caden? Now, Jacob, how do I get these objections to you? Because Caden came back too early. Or do you want to just throw out some random ones that you know?
Let's just wing it. I got it.
Let's just swing it. All right, now everybody pay attention. I want you to pay attention to Caden's tonality. I want you to pay attention to his facial expressions, his body language, and does his connection questions actually disarm the prospect where the prospect starts to let his guard down? Now, Jacob, do not be easy. Okay, is everybody good at that? Jacob, don't be easy, all right? If you're easy, I'm going to come in here and start, ripping heads off, right? They want to see something hard. Now, Caden, are you calling, you want to call age leads or new leads, or what do you want to do right here?
We can do an age lead. That's all the same.
Everybody want to hear this? All right, let's roll. Everybody pay attention, and we're going to analyze it right after. Here we go.
Okay, ring, ring.
Hello, who's this?
Hey, is this Jacob?
Yeah, who's this?
Yeah, this is just Caden. You might not remember this. It looks like it was a little while ago. For whatever reason, it doesn't look like anything got updated in the system. It looks like it was about 6 months ago. You'd put in some info about possibly looking at like the different life insurance options to pay for all your expenses. Did you end up finding something, or like what?
Yeah, got that taken care of.
I kind of figured. Whoa! Slow down. You're killing the middleman here. I'm just calling to update the system here. It sounds like you ended up getting something, or like what happened there?
Yeah, I got a policy about 4 months ago, America.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, let me get it. Oh, Americo. I've got your birthday here as 1/1 of 1970. Is that right?
Yeah. What's up?
What made you decide to like get set up with them over like a different option?
That's just what the guy told me. I had no idea.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's odd. Yeah. Well, they're not like a bad company or anything. We use them sometimes. Just normally for like somebody in your age range, like your demographic, there's usually better options. Were you originally like looking for anything specific, or just wanting to like look at all the different options and find what would work best?
Yeah, I was looking for 25,000, and that's what I got with America.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird. Here, let me double check for you. Make sure that you actually got set up with the best thing. We're just a brokerage, so I have access to like over 50 carriers. I'll just shop through. They might be the best thing, but like I said, usually there's a little bit better options for somebody in your situation. The 25,000, were you just wanting that to like cover the like burial and everything, or was that to like leave a little bit extra, or where did that number come from?
It's just what I could afford. Really, if I could get more, I love it.
Oh, okay. Well, how much do they have you like paying for the 25,000?
Like 200.
Okay. Yeah, it's odd. Well, let me get it pulled up here. As you know, everything is based on a few different things. So we'll go over some basic information here. I'll shop around, see what all comes up, and then from there we can see if anything is a little bit better.
Yeah, Ken. How long is this going to take?
I actually have an appointment coming up here. I only had a few minutes. Like I said, I was just called to update the system, so it should be pretty quick. Now, I've already confirmed your birthday. They're going to ask me here. You know how it goes. I know you put some of this stuff in online. You know how insurance is. They're going to make me ask the same questions twice. I apologize. But are you over there like chain smoking on me? 10 packs of Marlboro Reds a day, or any nicotine usage?
No, I don't do that stuff.
Well, you sound boring. And you know how it is. My wife does have me trained. I know I'm not supposed to ask this stuff, but they're going to make me ask how tall are you? How much do you weigh?
Like 5'8", 180.
Amazing. Okay, you're in pretty good shape. That's it's almost un-American these days.
It is.
Now, as you know, they're going to pull your medical record just like Americo did to kind of make that final decision. Walk me through your medical history. What all would come up in like the last, like anything big in the last, I don't know, 3 to 5 years?
No, everything was pretty quick. It's not going to take like an hour or so like the other guy did, is it?
They took an entire hour? I don't even have an hour, man. So we're going to have to go a little bit faster than that. What about like medications? What all have you been prescribed?
Yeah, I go to the gym, so I really don't have any.
Amazing. That makes it easy. You should have a lot of. That's weird. I don't know why they put you with America if you don't even have any health concerns. Is there anything that like you were prescribed and you maybe never filled or anything like that?
No, I thought 200 was kind of high as well, but I just rolled with it.
What made you decide to roll with it if you felt like it was high?
I don't know. I just look like efficiency.
Okay, so that's why you're asking me to go quick as well. Well, the system's going to think here and it'll start like kind of shopping around it. You know how these computers are, though. It's going to think. I've got the little spinning wheel thinking. I was curious when you first started looking, like had something like happened recently, or like what even had you looking for life insurance?
Yeah, actually, we had a funeral that just caught my eye. I didn't.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Just been trying to figure out things, and I don't know.
Sure.
It caught my eye, and just really wanted some coverage. And the guy called, and that was really all she wrote. Just got it taken care of, and now I got
easy enough. Okay. Well, the 25,000. I know you said you might want more. Like, did you ever like actually sit down and like, I guess, look at the numbers to see what all you would be passing down financially compared to like the expenses to know if like this is something you even need in the first place?
No.
Hey, let's stop there. Okay, do you guys want me to break down? A lot just happened there, but maybe some of you are like, wow, that sounds really good, but I don't understand why he said this or what he did there, okay? Now, in your industry, as both of you know, one of the biggest objections you get in the very beginning is, oh, we already have somebody for that, or we took care of that, right? Now, some people on here, they're like, oh, well, Jacob's being too easy of a prospect. Now, Caden, why in your mind, because I know before, because a long time ago, you almost quit life insurance before you got into NEPQ because you were making like $1,500 a month, and you felt like all the prospects were mean to you, and then you get into NEPQ, and all of a sudden you get into NEPQ, and all of a sudden the prospects like really, really like you. So why you feel like your prospects are just nice and easy now compared to you were calling them the same leads 3 years ago? They were hard. What's changed?
Number one, knowing what to say. That helps a lot. But one of the biggest things that helped was not just what to say, but the tonality, how to say it. Because what I learned from you is that's how they interpret my intention.
Yeah. Does everybody hear what he just said? The reason why some of you are like, oh, Jacob's being too easy on him. Well, I'm going to suggest to you, Jacob is being too easy on him because Caden has learned how to disarm the prospect. And maybe you haven't learned how to do that yet. And that's why you're getting a lot of resistance from your prospects like Caden did 3 or 4 years ago. Now Caden doesn't really have that, okay? Is that starting to make sense to you, okay? Because Caden, were you born with advanced tonality?
No. The opposite is what it felt like.
You had to learn that from us, right? Okay. Now,
Yes.
does everybody want me to show their first part of the script where I can break down what they just did with what Caden did? Would that help you guys? Caden, are you okay with that? Because you paid a lot of money for that.
Yes. That'll give me a second for my heart rate to come down anyways.
Okay, all right. I know it gets hard to role play in front of thousands of people here. So
just before you do, Jay, Facebook people, if you're watching us on Facebook, we're ending the Facebook stream in 60 seconds. So get on over to the Zoom. The link is in the chat.
Yeah. So Caden, now remember did everybody hear what Caden's tone sounded like in the first 10 seconds? Yeah, is this Jacob? Yeah, Jacob, it's Caden, Caden Sanchez. I had a second to get back to you. I'm licensed with the state. I received the request you put in, or no, actually you went age leads here, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, we went age leads.
Yeah, now everybody pay attention to what he did there. I want to make sure, did you see his facial expressions when he used a familiar tone? Yeah, it's Caden, Caden Sanchez. You might not remember this. It looks like a little while ago. For whatever reason, doesn't look like things got updated in the system. Looks like you put in some information. I think it was about 3 months ago about possibly looking at different like life insurance options for your expenses. Did you end up finding something, or what actually happened? Now, Caden, when you learned how to use the familiar tone, what started changing with your prospects?
It started to, they would just open up, right after that first thing that I say is, as I ask that question right off of that first intro, before I was getting a ton of resistance, and they just started they weren't laying down, right? I still had to go through the process and talk to them, but they were opening up and they weren't so guarded.
Yeah. And so everybody's asking, how do I work with Caden? Caden, how do they work with you?
Yeah, they can look me up. I'm super easy to find on Facebook, Instagram. If you guys shoot me a DM, just look up on Instagram. It's _Caden Sanchez. On Facebook, if you just look me up, you'll see a picture of me and my family, my wife and my amazing daughter, and super easy to find. Just shoot me a DM.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, and you guys do that, and because do you know Caden's one of our clients that we teach all this stuff to? Does everybody realize this? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Now, why do you have a confused tone right here? Why do you act confused here? Like, it looks like it was a little while ago. For whatever reason, it doesn't look like things got updated in the system. What does a confused tone do there? Why is that so important that we taught you how to do that?
Yeah, that gets them paying attention, because usually when you call, right, somebody picks up the phone, especially on an age lead. It was 6 months ago, right? Yeah. They're doing something. Most of us don't stop everything we're doing to pick up the phone. And when we act confused, that is significantly different than what most people do.
Yeah, because what's the script that prospects are used to from salespeople? They're used to what? Quick talking salespeople that try to spit out as much information as they can, and the prospect is already used to that, right? They're used to that script. So what gets triggered, Caden?
Resistance,
fight or flight mode. It's over. See, a lot of you have been trained. You got to act really assertive right at the very beginning. You do that with age leads, and you're going to play the what type of game, Caden? The numbers
game.
See, Caden now plays the skills game. Who wants to play the skills game rather than playing the numbers game? Is it funner to play the skills game or numbers game now, Caden?
Yeah, the skills game is a lot more fun.
Skills game, I heard, pays quite a bit more. I don't know, just go out on a limb. Now, there's a lot of things he did here. Now, right when he did this, Jacob still said what? Oh, I already got that taken care of. Now, what did Caden automatically do? He's like, oh, whoa, you don't shoot the messenger here. I'm just here to just update the system. Now, why did you use a playful tone there? Because what does a playful tone cause Jacob to do?
It causes him to let his guard down, right? And that was something else that I learned from you, a pattern interrupt, right? Because what that tells me in Jacob's mind, this script, if you will, that he's thinking is, I'm trying to get rid of this person, sales guy. And so I do the pattern interrupt, and it reverses it to where he's now thinking, oh, this is customer service.
Yes. Does that make sense to everybody why we would want to interrupt the prospect's pattern? Because if you don't learn how to pattern interrupt, what would happen right here at this point? Most prospects would what? Hang up. And it's over, whereas Caden and our clients are able to still make that sale. Do you guys want to learn how to do that so you don't get hung up on? Okay, see what I'm doing there? Okay. Now, right when you said that, you did a lot of things here. Okay, a lot of things here that you did. Now, there's a lot of things that I wrote down here. And you said, well, let me get that updated because, that way they don't keep calling me. How many phone calls have you been getting? You've been getting like 1 million phone calls over there. Now, when you use a playful tone, Jacob starts to what? Laugh. Does that make sense? The prospect starts to laugh. The guard comes down. Do you know why? Because in the prospect's brain, that releases dopamine. Okay? Playful tone causes a prospect to laugh, releases dopamine. The guard comes down. Is everybody starting to get what we're doing here? Remember, we train you with NEPQ. We're going to train you how to work with human behavior rather than work against it. Do you guys see the difference in that? Okay. Then you said a lot of things here. Now these insurance companies, they always, now you did a lot more. Before you that, well, oh, so you were with Americo? Oh, and so I've got your birthday is 05 of 73. Yeah, Americo's fairly decent. We just typically don't see somebody your age in that policy. What caused you to go with that policy compared to something else? Now, what does that seed in their brain, that concerned tone, what does that seed in Jacob's brain?
It starts to see doubt. And that even happened, in the role play. Jacob was like, why? Is that bad? And the prospects do that all of the time.
Yeah.
They're like, hold on. Yeah. What did I make a mistake?
What did I mean? Yeah, because if Caden said, oh, you went to Americo, that's a horrible policy, you shouldn't have gotten that, what would the prospect do?
They just say, I'm fine with it. That's okay.
Yeah,
would be right, Jacob?
Yeah, you just get defensive, you shut down.
Yeah, so instead, see what Caden did. With his tonality that we've trained him, he's like, oh, yeah, Americo, I mean, that's a fairly decent policy. Typically for somebody your age, you don't really see anybody in that type of coverage. What caused you to go with that option rather than something else? And Jacob's like, oh, huh, what? And he started to become curious. See, Caden didn't tell him anything was wrong, but his voice, his concerned tone communicated that there could be something he knows that this prospect doesn't know. That triggered Jacob's brain to become curious. Is everybody with me on what we're doing? And see, these are a lot of nuances that we're training you here, okay? Because Jacob and Caden, before you learned these nuances, where were your sales
at? Pretty non-existent.
Not where they should be.
Who in here is like, hey, my sales are not where they should be. I need to learn these nuances right now so I can make a lot more sales. Type in me if that is you, okay? You want to do that? Okay. Now, there's a lot of other things you did. Then you said, now, these insurance companies, they always make us ask these same boring questions. You know what I mean. So you're using a playful tone. You said, now, are you over there? Do you smoke there? Are you over chain smoking on me, like smoking 10 packs of Marlboros a day? And then Jacob did what? He starts laughing. That releases what? More dopamine in his brain. His guard stays down. Do you see what we're doing there? Because what do most people do in your industry when they start going through this survey?
They say, do you any nicotine use? And it's like you walked into a doctor's office and they just rattle it off.
It's like a telemarketer. Okay,
yeah.
Are you a smoker? Okay, how much alcohol do you lose? And then what happens to the prospect?
They just tune out.
They tune out. And they'll say like, oh, now what did Jacob say? Now, hey, how long is this going to take? And do you see what we taught Caden to do? Oh, I don't have a lot of time. I apologize. I've just got a few minutes before my next appointment. Now, that is a disarming technique. Jacob, why is it so important, Caden, to do that?
Yeah, because it helps me hold the status where I'm still the trusted authority, but also ease the tension, stay in control and say, hey, this isn't going to take a long time.
Yeah, because now Jacob doesn't think it's going to take a long time, so his guard comes down. If you'd be like, well, it'll be about 45 minutes, Jacob would have said, oh, well, you'll have to call me back later, or I don't have time, click. Does everybody see what he just did there? Okay. Now, the cool thing is, Caden, do you notice that 10, 15, 20 minutes later, Jacob doesn't really say, hey, you said it was only going to be a few minutes. Why is that?
They forget about that because it becomes a priority. Once they're engaged in the conversation and they're having a conversation, the time frame goes away. You just have to engage them first.
Does that make sense to everybody what we're doing here? Okay. Once you start building the gap, they just emotionally start to become attached to the problem and figuring out something with Kate. They don't even remember the time. They literally do not remember the time. Now, then you said, now, what caused you to even look at getting a policy 3 or 4 months ago? Did something actually happen or what happened? And Jacob said what? Jacob, you said we had a funeral or what did you say?
Yeah, we had a death in the family.
Oh, what actually happened? Role play thing. What actually happened?
Yeah, my brother's wife passed away.
Oh, you seem so young. Like what how did he pass away?
It's a car accident. You just never know.
Car accident. So I guess how much like life insurance protection did he leave behind for his spouse?
None. And that was the eye opener for me, is because I don't want that to happen to mine.
So what actually happened to her and the kids?
They're still trying to figure it out. She's probably gonna have to work another job.
Were they able to keep the house, or what actually happened?
Yeah, I mean, they're coming out of the pocket. A lot of us are coming together with like a GoFundMe, doing like plate sales and all that, just getting everything rocking and rolling. But yeah, it's tough.
All right, I'm sorry to hear that. Now, Hayden, why is it so important to keep going through that? Because most salespeople in your industry, when somebody's like, "Oh yeah, there was a death in the family, my brother died," they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Now let me ask you," and they just like ignore it and go to the next question, which triggers what in the prospect's brain?
Yeah, it triggers the prospect to shut down because they just opened up to you. They just told you something vulnerable, and then you just skim right past it.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the last 3 days? What did I say were the two biggest emotional drivers that causes a human being to want to change? Pain and the fear of future pain. So if we can't help Jacob relive the pain of what? His brother passing away, he doesn't feel any need to what? Change. Do you see what I just did there when I role played? Oh, what actually happened? Now, what type of tone did I use there? Type in the chat what type of tone. Oh, what actually happened? That's a concern tone, a tone that shows empathy. Now, what if I said, oh, what actually happened, man? Oh, it's horrible. See, that wouldn't do anything, okay? But because I lean in and I'm like, oh, what actually happened? Now Jacob does what? Feels like I genuinely care, which I do. That's the thing that I want to make sure you guys understand. When I show you how to use the different tonalities, it's because I actually do care. I'm not acting. I do care because I know if I don't use a concerned tone, Jacob won't open up to me and relive his pain, right? Does everybody want to learn how to use a concerned tone as well? Okay, there's 5 tones you got to master. We went over the last 3 days, okay? Now, I also said, so now I didn't even stop there. What else did I do? Oh, so what actually happened to his wife and kids? Like how much insurance did they have? And then he said none. Oh, so what happened at that point without his income? And then he starts reliving his pain. Now, does that build trust with me and Jacob when I help him relive his pain? Does that build trust? Does that help him view me at a higher status, like somebody that he can trust to buy from? Or does that make him view me as just a salesperson trying to sell me something? Do you see the difference in that? Okay, now, then let's go into problem awareness questions real quick here. Let's go into the problem awareness questions, and let's say that you find out that he has a work policy. Why don't we go in there? You want to do that?
Yeah, switch it up. So instead of the policy that he had, he has a work policy.
Yeah, so here we're going to teach you what's called problem awareness questions. Everybody pay attention. Now that we've helped Jacob find out what his real situation is, we've got him disarmed, we're then going to what? We're going to start building the gap with problem awareness. So pay attention here. This is really important, this section. Pay attention what he's about to show you. Go ahead, guys.
So, I mean, you have the 50,000 through work. I guess what makes you feel like that wouldn't be enough?
It's just through work, you know what I mean? It just I don't.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like if I leave, you know, who knows? Sure. Like, am I actually gonna stay there? It's only with maybe looking for some private. Is it gonna be too expensive?
It sounds like you're kind of on the fence, but it doesn't sound like you're planning to work there forever, and you know that if you leave, what happens?
Yeah, just kind of looking for like a quote or something like that.
Yeah, no problem. And we're working on that, man. We see this a lot, and your family is lucky to have somebody like you that's, responsible and selfless enough to like just be thinking ahead and trying to take that burden off of them, even when you already have something through work, so that they don't like have to go through the stress of trying to figure it all out unexpectedly. I talked to I just talked to a lot of people, and everybody loves their family, no doubt, but some people they really don't mind just kind of hoping and praying that nothing happens, and if something does happen, it's kind of like, oh well, they'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Can I ask you, how come like this is so important to you?
Oh, it's just so important is because we had the funeral, and I just really want to make sure my wife and kids are going to have extra kind of replace my income, because at 50,000 nowadays, like who knows what that's going to be able to do? Eggs, gas, everything.
Are you talking about inflation? It's been pretty bad where you guys are at?
I mean, I feel like everybody's getting hit.
With the 50,000, like how long do you think that would last for?
I don't know, a couple months probably.
A couple months, not very long.
You're maybe max if you stretch it.
Sure. What would she do after that? Like, does she work?
No.
Oh, what would she do?
That's what I mean. I don't even know.
I guess, like, just so I could see the rationale, besides wanting to make sure that she would be taken care of, right? And like, what's the main reason you might be looking for like insurance rather than just, putting some extra money into the 401k, or like having them set up a GoFundMe page and just hoping and praying enough people donate?
Nah, I don't want to do that. I wouldn't feel like a provider for my wife if I did that.
Oh, what do you mean? A lot of people do that.
Yeah, but I don't want to be a lot of people.
Okay, let's stop there. All right. There's a lot of what Caden did there that you might not understand that's really psychologically important. Do you want me to break down what he just did in the last 3 minutes that started to build a pretty big gap in Jacob's mind from where he was compared to where he now sees could be? Okay, I'm going to break this down. Caden, can I share your script again for this section?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at this. All right, now this is really, really important. Can everybody see this? It's very important, all right? Now, so when you asked this question, so you found out he had a policy. So, I mean, you have the $50,000 work policy. I mean, what's caused you to feel like that's not going to be enough for Cindy and the kids when you pass? Now, what do most salespeople in your industry ask here instead of this type of question?
Normally they don't ask, they tell. They're like, oh, yeah, you have 50,000. Yeah, that's not enough.
Yeah, and the prospect, it just goes in one or out the other. Now, this question, see how we flip the script here. See, now Jacob is doing what? He's defending himself on why the 50,000 he already has is what? Not going to be enough. Now, what if Caden said this question fast? Because what he just showed you is how to pace the question out. See how he said he slowed the pace here, he acted confused and concerned. What if he said like this? So you've got the $50,000 work policy. Why do you feel like that's not going to be enough? Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be enough. See, when you ask questions too fast, you give your prospect no time to internalize what you just asked. And that's why they give you vague, generalized surface level answers. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes or no? Yes or no? All right. So when I slow down, this is called verbal pacing. This is what we train you in our virtual training portals. This is what we train Jacob and Caden every day. So, I mean, you've already got the $50,000 work policy. I mean, what's caused you to feel like that's not going to be enough for her when you pass? Now, what type of tone did you hear? A concerned, confused tone. Remember, your tone is how the prospect interprets your intention behind the question. That causes Jacob to feel comfortable and do what? Open up to Caden. Is everybody with me? Now, do you see what he did there second here? Okay. See, it'd be the same thing for Jim and B2B. So, I mean, you guys have been doing it manually for the past 2 years. I mean, what's caused you to feel like you might want to streamline it? See how I can do this type of question for any type of industry. We train you all these tweaks. Now, Caden, why does the identity frame here, why is that so important?
I love the identity frame here for a few different reasons. What a lot of other people do in the industry, and what I was taught before I came here, was as soon as they tell you a reason why they want the insurance, just ask them, how come that's important to you? Or why is that important to you? And what would happen a lot is people would be like, it was just a weird question. So people would give me resistance. 1 out of 10 might answer. And then the rest of them were like, does it matter? And so this does a few things for me. Number one, the identity frame, it kind of places borders on their identity, right? And me saying, hey, you're a selfless, responsible father, partner, even if they are not, they're going to want to start acting like one.
Yep.
Right? But the other
100%.
thing it does is just provide that social context so that, just like with Jacob, even if they don't, if it doesn't land and they don't say anything, I now have the social context to ask, why is this important to you?
Yeah. So like Whitney, I want to learn from Caden. He's so good. So Whitney, we're trained, Caden. So you would want to come into our training because we're going to train you all. This is where we train and learn how to do this. So, I mean, we do see that a lot. I mean, Jacob, they're lucky to have you as a father. I mean, that is selfless enough to take that burden off them so they don't have to go through all that stress trying to figure out how to pay for the funeral thing. I mean, I talk to a lot of people and, some people, they don't really mind putting that stress and burden on their kids they leave behind. You know what I mean?
No, I do. I just don't want that. I've just saw it too much.
Well, for you, why is this so important to you now, though?
I mean, I've just been pushing off for like the last 6 months because I have the work policy, but I just really think it's probably time for me to do something.
Well, what's possibly changed though over just keep pushing it off like a lot of people do who never end up protecting their family?
Yeah, if I do that, then because we never know when that day comes, I'd just rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest reason why people come to us for sure. Now, what did I just build there? Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why people come to us for sure. What did I just build? I built legitimacy. I literally just said, yeah, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why people come to us for sure. See how I'm raising my trust. I don't need to say, don't worry about us. It's not going to happen with us. We're great. I'm just seeding certainty. Does everybody see how we're seeding certainty? See how even Caden even sighed here. See if he said, a lot of people I talk to, they don't really mind putting that stress and responsibility on they leave behind. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know what you mean. And it would just go in one ear out the other. See what we're doing here?
Yeah, it's a jerk reaction.
Yeah, and see the rationale question here. See, not only do we want to help them find one problem, but how many problems do we want to help them find, Caden?
As many as possible.
As many as possible, because that does what to the gap?
It just builds it. It inflates it. It gets much bigger.
It's impossible not to buy. I mean, well, just so I can see the rationale, but besides, wanting the extra coverage because of your brother, passing, what's the main reason why you might be looking for a bigger policy rather than just, I don't know, like having them go set up a GoFundMe page and then hoping and praying that enough people donate? Now, why would I say, besides whatever the problem he said or whatever they're looking for, what else? What does that do, Jacob?
It just puts it to the corner. It just focuses on the real problem. It's like, man, like I need to do something.
See, at the end of the rationale question, we put in what? An objection that you typically get. Because in their mind, in your thing, they might think they can go set up a GoFundMe page, the family leave behind, and they're going to be okay. But now, see how I'm preventing? Does everybody see what I'm doing? I'm objection prevention here. I'm preventing that objection from even happening, rather than just, I don't know, having them set up a GoFundMe page and just hoping enough people, donate enough. And then Jacob, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it just makes it look silly for them to say something.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, I would never do that because of, and now you would never get that objection. Does everybody want to learn how to prevent objections from happening? Because that's what we train you in the virtual training portals as a client. We teach you how to ask questions, not just questions to get them to open up, but questions to get them to prevent objections from happening in their brains. Everybody with us here, okay? All right, let's come back over to Jim. Now, Jim, let's go over to yours. Let's go into let's give an example of like a solution awareness question. Let's give an example of a solution awareness. I know that we promised everybody we'd do a 45-minute Q&A and keep it to 2 hours and 15 minutes. So we're going to run out of time. Give us an example of, why don't you role play here with Anthony on like a solution awareness question here and getting them to see what the future looks like once the problems are solved.
Okay, so we'll just go in the second half here. It looks like of solution awareness. Yeah. So let's pretend, we came in like we do with all the other associations we work with, and we set it up where we actually integrate with your database. We make it easy, like you were talking about, for the judges to log in and score. But then most of all, automate everything where you, and I think you said you had the handful of people on your team, they all actually get their time back, right? Like how would that be different for you, like running the department if we did all that for you?
It'll definitely change things.
In what way?
Well, I guess the time aspect, if we're not doing it manually, I could, reallocate those staff to the job I hired them to do in the first place.
What would that do for the organization, though, you being able to do that?
We could just, I guess, optimize where we need more efficiency in, which is actually supporting our clients in the business. It'll just give us back a lot more hours that, we're spending manually right now.
Well, what would that do for you, like, personally, even?
I guess it allows us to focus on actually growing the business.
Okay, let's stop there. Now, some of you are saying, hey, cold calling examples. If you go back to day 1 and day 3, we gave a lot of cold calling examples, just so you know, the people were asking about that. Now, Caden, when he was going through connection questions with this tonality, not cold calling, he's calling age leads that are 5 months old, pretty much cold calling examples. All right, Jim. Why? Okay, so you've got this question right here. Solution awareness questions, we're getting them to see, now that we built this big gap from where they are to where they want to be, we're getting them to see what the future looks like once the newfound problems are solved. Why is that so important? Rather than just get them to see they have a bunch of problems, why do we also have to get them to see what the future looks like when they're solved?
Yeah, because as we help them to see how much better things could be, what happens to the size of the gap, right? As the size of the gap grows, then what happens to their level of internal tension and conviction that they need to do something now, ideally, and this is really important, with a person that guided them to those conclusions.
Exactly.
So that's why
now,
it's so important.
Nabil says, what if the CEO asks, why are you asking me this personal question?
What's funny, Nabil, is that if they respect you because your tonality and the rest of the questions that you're asked have caused them to view you at a high level of status, and if through my tonality they feel a genuine level of empathy and concern and they see me as an expert, they won't do that.
They never ask that. You never get that question when we train you how to use your tonality to get them to let their guard down. Now, Bill, the reason why CEOs are asking you that is because you haven't learned yet how to disarm the prospect. And because you haven't learned yet how to make the questions sound conversational by using verbal cues to bridge from question to question. You remember that, Jim, when you started asking questions in the beginning and you sound scripted?
Oh my gosh. So it's funny because actually, Nabil, in the first couple of weeks, my tonality was not as good as it is now or anything like that. And I kind of would actually get that pushback. But after a couple months of working with Jeremy and Anthony and the team, what happened? It just magically all went away. So that's a good lesson on that one.
100%.
It's like walking into a doctor's office and the doctor's asking you personalized questions to help better understand your pain. Is anybody ever going to say, well, doctor, why are you asking me these personal questions?
They would never say that. Exactly. Exactly. Now, you did something important. You got the logical of how it'd be different, but then you lean in and said, oh, why? What would that do for you personally, though? And you lowered your tone to that soft, concerned tone. Why would you ask that probing question there to bring out the emotion? What does that do?
Yeah. Because even though we may have, and this is in B2B, it's all about value, it's all about ROI, we need to address that and we need to legitimize what we're doing from that angle. But do people really make their decisions logically, analytically, like they especially would pretend to in a high-level business setting? No, they make them emotionally, right? And when somebody says, here's my personal emotional incentive, that's what's really going to move them. And what I want everybody to understand, because for all of you that are on the B2B side of things, this is really going to help you. When we have a multi-call process, what if I now need Anthony to go to the CFO of his company and advocate for my solution and sponsor a meeting between me and the CFO? He might not do that, or he might not have the level of conviction that I need him to if he hasn't said, I'm emotionally attached to getting this done. I now need to complete Jim's request. So that's why it's so important.
100%. And then you're going to lean in right after that emotion comes out. So, I mean, if you were forced to stick with having to do it manually and you keep losing
Yeah.
your time and having to deal with all these complaints, what's going to happen to your job at that point? And why does that consequence question, what does that do?
It takes them from this amazing sort of emotional high where they're thinking, oh my God, it's going to be so much better. We're going to be smashing all our goals in my life, no more stress. And it takes it all away.
Yeah.
Where at that point they realize, oh no, I have to do something. And ideally, and this is really important for everybody listening, what will happen when we ask that question, like Jeremy was showing you, the prospect will verbalize back to you, I have to do something.
Yeah.
Right? They'll say
That
in
question
some
gets
way, they'll say that.
Defend themselves. That gets them to defend themselves on why they need to change and change now. Now, type in me if you ask questions, you get to the end, you know, they say, well, we'll get back to you later in a week or 2 weeks, and then you just start chasing. Type in me if you just chase mode. Now, Jim, how often do you have to chase now that we've trained you in NAPQ?
Very, very rarely. When it does happen, it's usually because of some weird logistical thing. But especially before, and we may or may not get to this, before I knew how to structure the commitment questions and things, where I could kind of funnel the call down to like a conclusion, like a binary, is this the answer for you, yes or no? Before I had that ability and we trained in it, it would happen all the time. People would be like, wow, thanks for your time, we'll let you know. Gone, right? Whereas now that I've gotten good, I know exactly what's happening, and if there is some type of issue, which is usually logistical, because we didn't get in as we can pre-handle, especially in the first half of solution awareness, find the obstacles and pre-handle them. We can just work it out right then and there.
100%. And we're going to work on closing the last 15 minutes because we're going to open it up for Q&A here in just a little bit, because a lot of you guys had questions about a lot of stuff yesterday in the DM. So we're going to answer questions in a minute. And then the last 15 minutes, we're going to work on closing with Jim and Caden. Who's going to stay here the whole time to learn how to close the sale? Anybody? Possibly, maybe. All right, let's come back over to Caden here. Let's go back over to Caden. Stop the share. Caden, let's go into consequence questions now with Jacob. All right, so let's go into you built up this gap. Jacob now sees what his future looks like, you know, having the extra coverage, and now you're basically going to rip it away and get him to defend himself on why he needs to change. Let's role play there. Everybody pay attention. It's very important for you to learn consequence questions here.
Yeah, it seems like you put a lot of thought into this. I guess, like, have you thought about like what things will really look like if you didn't do anything about this, and you know something happened to you? What things would look like for your family then?
No, I haven't actually.
Well, if you thought about it, like what would happen?
Probably wouldn't be good.
Meaning?
I mean, like there probably just enough left over, and you know the missing probably be struggling around.
Do you want her to have to do that if she didn't have to?
No.
Okay, let's stop there. All right, this is good. Now I want to show you guys what he just did. Everybody want me to analyze how he used his tone in this consequence question. This is really important. Now, there's a couple consequence questions you could use here. Okay, we teach all the nuances for all the industries in our virtual training portals. So I can lean in and say, so without your income, Jacob, how many months would Cindy be able to pay for the house and the credit cards and the 2 cars you guys have without your income?
I don't know. I never really thought about it.
Well, if you really thought about it, how many months?
Maybe like 6 or 7. Probably not long.
6 or 7. So at that point, what would happen to her and the kids?
She would probably have to like ask her mom for money, maybe have to get a second job. It probably just wouldn't look good at all. And I don't want that.
Well, I mean, do you want her to have to go through all that if you didn't have to?
No, not at all. I don't want that.
Well, for you, why look at doing this now? You'd be surprised. I hear this all the time. Why look at doing this now? Why not push it down the road like a lot of dads do, who end up leaving their family with, you know, unfortunately, not much money?
Yeah, but I don't want to be like those other dads. I want to be a leader, a provider.
Okay. So time to make a change, possibly.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Hayden, what did I just do there? Jacob, what did I just do?
Created a gap on you pushed me away, you leaned down, and then I bought myself in on why I should do it now instead of pushing it off another week, month, another year.
You forced him to visualize the downside.
Yeah.
He's picturing it.
Did you see how I got him to visualize? So without your income, how many months would she be able to pay for the house payment and the credit cards and the cars without your income? Now, a lot of prospects, as you know, will say, well, I don't really know. So what you want to do when they say, I don't really know, you always lean and say, well, if you really thought about it. Now, that's for any industry. Well, if you really thought about it. Now, that forces their brain to what? Think about it. They literally have to. It literally forces their brain to think about it. He comes back with 6 months, and then in a concerned tone, I said, so what would happen to them at that point? Now, why would I use a concerned tone there? What does that do?
That gets them to really lean in, and they let their guard down, because if you were challenging there, they would potentially get defensive. But because you're concerned, what they interpret is that you're asking that challenging question because you care.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Who in here wants to acquire advanced tonality skills like we're starting to barely show you here on this training call today? Who in here wants to acquire those skills? We're going to show you a little bit more of that tomorrow in the scripting sessions, because we're going to bring out 5 or 6 different industries tomorrow as well. Who in here wants to learn how to do that? Okay, so what we're going to do, let me go ahead and stop the screen share. We're going to go ahead and we're going to answer some questions. I'm going to turn it back over to Anthony real quick, and we're going to answer some questions for a little while, because there's a lot of questions you guys had, and then we're going to bring Jacob and Jim and Caden back to work on closing. Everybody want to work on closing here in about 30 minutes if we brought them back in? Would everybody want that? Closing. Okay, so Jim, Caden, and Jacob, hang out for a little bit. We're going to bring you back out here in just a little bit.
All right, guys, how amazing was that? Can we get that chat box firing? Like, are you guys picking up what we're putting down here? How good was that? You guys picking this up? I'd love to see how far Caden's come as well. Like, is Caden a rock star? Even Jim, are these guys rock stars?
Yeah,
the thing is,
remember? Yeah, go ahead, tell them.
The thing is, they're just like you guys. That's what you got to understand. That's what we want you guys to understand. You know, these guys were working hard. They were working hard. They just weren't getting the results. The funny thing is, me and Jay, like I told you yesterday, we were in Vegas like a month ago, and Jeremy asked this room full of like 200 people. He says, raise your hands if you're a hard worker. Raise your hands if you're a hard worker. We had salespeople, business owners, CEOs, VP of sales, chief sales officers. What do you guys think happened?
The biggest companies in the world, we had the CEO of McKinsey. It's a $15 billion company. They were all into it. It was awesome.
They're all there. Every single person's hand went up. So you ask yourself the question, are you guys hard workers? And then this is the funny part. Jeremy asked the follow-up question. He goes, all right, so you're all working hard. Now, how many of you are making the number of sales you want for yourselves and or your businesses? And guess what happened? Every single hand hit the deck. So evidently, what does that tell us? Hard work is not enough. And Caden and Jim and even Jacob, like you guys know them now, they're perfect examples of that. They were the hard workers. They were calling all the leads. They were putting in the dials. They were reading all the books, but they weren't getting the results because they were reading the wrong books. They were doing the wrong skills. They were learning from the wrong people.
Books never help you sell more. A book is a book. It's just words.
Yeah. What does this tell us? And I want you guys to drill this in. It's not about just reading the books. It's about being part of the right system. Because what? Because success leaves clues. And remember, whose obligation is it to sell the prospects that are in front of us? Whose is it? Is it your prospects' obligation to sell themselves? Is it on them if they've got a problem that they don't know how to overcome? Whose obligation is it to sell them? What did King Solomon say? I said this yesterday. What did King Solomon say? If you've got something good, it is your obligation to sell it to them. Selling is serving. Now that you've realized that, who is ready to take ownership that, hey, it's your obligation? Let me know down in the chat. Common obligation. Jacqueline is, Beverly is, Spencer, Veerley, Chad is. It's on you guys. It's on us. That's why it's up to us to raise the standards. So some of you yesterday, some of you weren't even here yesterday, but we keep bringing it back to this plan that Jeremy said he's going to show you on how he went personally from the worst rep to the top 0.0001% in the industries that he sold in, and the path that so many of our clients, like you've just seen, helped reach them to the top 1%. So who here wants Jeremy to continue to show you that plan that has helped him and many clients, including myself, take the obligation and actually start to help their prospects? Type me in the chat if you guys want to see that.
Yeah, we offered a crazy plan yesterday. We had 322 of you get into that plan. So I want to welcome all 322 of you that just did that. Now, what I wanted to do, there was a bunch of questions. I was getting hit up in the DMs last night like crazy. I probably had 500 or 600 people like, I wasn't on yesterday. Can I get into the training? Like, what happens after the 5 days? Like, this is not enough. Like, I need to learn how to sell more. Like, I want you to train me for 3 months or 6 months or 12 months. So type in 12 months if you would like us to train you for the next 12 months and train you a plan that not only has taken, me when I was in my sales career to, the top, like he said, 0.0001%. I was ranked number 45 in the world out of any salesperson in any industry selling anything. Let that sink in, okay? And I can show you that same plan if you want me to, because was I born with that plan? No, I had to acquire those skills, right? I had to learn the advanced tonality. I had to, like we've taught Caden, I had to learn the advanced questions. I had to learn the advanced reframing. I had to learn the advanced objection prevention techniques. Would you want me to transfer that same knowledge to you so you can start selling more for you and your family? Who in here would want me and our company to do that for you? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some questions for you, but I actually am going to have our clients answer that for you, okay? Because there was a lot of people asking yesterday, like, hey, Jeremy, I want you to train me the next 12 months. I want the plan, but I'm really busy. I've got kids. I don't have time to learn how to train. I don't have time to learn how to sell. Like, I'm busy. I've got kids. I've got work. I've got sports. Who in here wants to get trained the next 12 months, but you're like, I just don't have time. I'm just so busy. And you can be real with this. You can be honest. Like, we're a sales training company. Your salespeople and companies come to us because of why? Because they want to learn how to sell more. They want to learn the techniques to sell more. So, this client right here, I remember he had the same question. This was like 3 years ago. You're talking 2021, this Marcus guy. And I said, how much? Well, I want to ask you, can I ask you guys something? Type in yes if I can ask you a personal question without you getting pissed off at me. You guys okay? Okay? How much time do you feel you would need daily to learn how to sell more? How much time do you feel you would need to put in daily to learn how to sell more? Could you put in 30 minutes a day? Type in me if you would be willing for your family to put in 30 minutes a day so you can sell more, okay? Because can I ask, like, what do you listen to when you're driving in your car? Like to the grocery store or to work or to church or to the gym? What are you listening to? What are you listening to in the morning when you eat breakfast? What are you listening to when you iron your shirt in the morning? What do you listen to at night before you go to bed for 10 minutes? Are you 100% sure you don't have the time to learn skills to sell more? Because I remember this client right here, Marcus. He said the same thing. He said, I'm working 70 hours a week. I don't have time. I have to help my kids at night with homework. I coach their football team on the weekends. I have zero time. And I said, well, what do you listen to when you're driving to work? And he said, well, I like to listen about, politics, Fox News and CNN. And, I like to listen to music. And I said, well, who's your favorite band? He's like, AC/DC. And I'm like, interesting. How much does AC/DC and CNN make you every month? How much money do they make you? And he's like, sounds like I got at least 30 minutes a day. Does that answer your question on how much time you can use? Because how many, do top 1% salespeople make time to learn? Yes or no? Do top 1% salespeople make the time to learn? Yes or no? Do top coaches and top athletes and top consultants and top business owners and top entrepreneurs, do they make the time to learn? Yes, and that's why they're at the top. Now, do average athletes, do average coaches, do average entrepreneurs, do average sales managers, do average salespeople make the time to learn? No. They make excuses. And unfortunately for them and their families and their prospects, that's why they stay average. So type in me if you feel you can dedicate 30 minutes a day for you, your family, and your prospects so you can acquire these skills that we are barely starting to show you, okay? Because let's go to this next slide. I've got to give you a disclaimer here. We have a bit under 23,000 testimonials from our clients, just so you're aware. From what we are told, that is the most from any sales training company in the world, and we've only been in business less than 6 years. We're talking about even companies that have been around for 50 years. We have more testimonials. How's that even possible? But I'm concerned if I show you some of our clients' results that you might feel you don't really need to put in the effort to learn the skills like they are. So as a disclaimer, anytime you see any of our testimonials from our clients, it in no way guarantees you're going to get the same results they do. You could do more than Jacob or Caden or Jim or all these clients. You could do less. What does it require to hit those numbers? It requires commitment, that you want to actually learn those skills. Do you remember that number I had some of you write down on that piece of paper yesterday? It requires commitment to hit that number, doesn't it? Because what can we as a sales training company guarantee you? What can I guarantee you if you were a client? I can guarantee you that we're going to train you the skills that you would need if you want to make more sales. I can guarantee you that. But you have to guarantee us what? That you're going to do something with it, right? Because I can't force you to use them, right? So type in committed in the chats if you are committed to putting in 30 minutes a day at least to get results, to hit that number you wrote down on your paper. Let's go to the next slide, because this client right here, she said the same thing, Anna. And look what she said here. She said, I went from 2K packages, like $2,000 products she was selling. She wasn't making much money off that. But then we trained her, she put in the time, and then she got the skills where she could sell products that were 30,000 plus. She had to acquire the skills to do that, right? I mean, you tell me, what happens if Anna believed the lie the society tells you that you just don't have time? Where has that way of thinking gotten you financially? Let's go to the next slide. Now, Anthony, you had mentioned to me that somebody said, I sell B2B. We just showed some examples from Jim who sells B2B. And they said, I'm not sure it's going to work for my prospects. They're all logical. They just want me to show them demos. This client said the same thing to me as well a few years ago. This guy sells cybersecurity to Bank of America, Wells Fargo. And he's like, there's no way these questions will work. Now he's the #1 salesperson in his entire company and a 0.001% salesperson in his industry. And I said, Shirkant, do you realize 2 of the 4 industries I sold in were B2B? And then the other 2 were B2C. I made almost $3 million a year in B2B and B2C. It doesn't matter because I'm working with what? Human beings, all right? Human beings. Now, who in here talks to human beings, whether you sell B2B, door-to-door, B2C, or business to government, you talk to human beings that have problems and or emotional needs. Type in me if that's you, okay? Now, I think you just answered your question if it'll work for you. Because let's go back to that, what that guy said, but put that back up there. You see what he said there. Beth, can you go back to that slide? He said this training, Beth, if you can go back to that slide there, I'm going to show them something, okay? Look what he said there. As we close out Q2, I have made blank in commissions. That number is a very large number, but I'm not going to show it to you. I'm going to hold it back. Do you know why? Because there's still some of you on here, I can tell by your comments. Not many, because this is a high-level room, but there's still a few of you that for some reason still don't believe that you can really get the results you want to get. And I'm concerned if I show you these numbers, you're just not going to be committed enough to actually take the time to learn the skills like this client is. Let's go to the next slide. Because who is this? And actually, let's skip this slide as well. Let's just skip this slide. Let's go to the next slide. This client right here, because a lot of people on here are like, I'm already a top salesperson. How could you help me? You've never sold what I sold. And that's okay. This client here, Bill Farmer, let's bring him out. I actually asked him to come out here because I remember a year and a half ago, he said the same thing to us, our sales trainers. He got in the training, he's like, I'm already the top salesperson in the windows industry, the home improvement industries. He sells windows, doors, siding. Bill, are you out there?
I'm here.
Wait, Bill, I can't see Bill. Can we highlight Bill real quick? Can we highlight Bill? I can't see Bill. There we go. All right, Bill. You live in good old Missouri. I still have my lake house there. Does everybody want to ask Bill a question? Now, Bill, what industry are you in?
Home improvement, sales, residential.
Okay. Now, like you put here, you were already doing pretty dang well as a commission-only salesperson. And I remember you mentioned to me that you got in the training, and for the first little while, you kind of believed in the slide that since you were already the top rep in your company, you already been selling for years, you're a vet, you're like, why do I need to hire a coach? Like, how could Jeremy help me sell more if he's never sold what I did? What happened there?
Yeah, I was looking for something. I was the top guy in my company for 10 consecutive years, but I knew there was more for me to learn. I only know so much, but other people, and I heard you on the podcast, and the words you were saying resonated with me. I go, this guy has something I don't have. And if I can know a little bit what he has and apply it to what I already learned, I can go to maybe another level. And I heard some of the numbers you were producing. I go, well, I'm nowhere near that. And I think when you green, you grow. If you're ripe, you rot. So you always got to be constantly learning. And then I got involved pretty quick.
And so, okay, so what changed once you got into the training portal and the group training? What did you start to notice from your prospects? Because you were already the number one person. What did you start to notice once we really started to train you?
Yeah, I just think they opened up so much easier with so much less effort. And I was running the same amount of appointments, so I really wasn't working any harder, but my results were so much better. My cancellations dropped to nothing. My average sale grew. I got more referrals. So it kind of went crazy.
Who in here sells, but then you have a lot of cancels or you have refunds? So you notice now you're selling way more. From what I understand, did you tell me you've more than doubled?
That's correct.
Sales and commission?
Correct.
More than
That's
doubled.
correct.
What type of time flexibility do you have now?
How long it took?
And what type of
1
time
year.
flexibility do you have now?
Oh yeah, I have a lot more time. Yeah, I've got a lot more time in and that's originally when I talked to your rep, but I didn't, I was looking for maybe not necessarily to make a ton of more money, but having more freedom, more time. So if I can make the same money or more, but take more time off, spend time with the family, there'd be some value there. But both things.
Playing the numbers game. When you're not playing the numbers game and you're playing the sales game, that means you work less, but you sell far more. Who in here wants to stop playing the numbers game and you'd rather play the skills game like Bill is? So what would have happened if Bill, because he was already number one rep, let his ego get in the way and thought he knew everything about sales? Bill, where would you be right now?
I'd be right where I was a few years ago, just humping it. Yeah.
Humping it. Well, hey, now you're in Columbia, Missouri. When are you going to go down to the Lake of the Ozarks again, my man?
Well, I just picked up a new boat, so I think we'll be down there this weekend.
Okay, brother. I might be back there in about 3 or 4 weeks, so I'm going to hit you up.
There you go. That sounds great.
All right, Bill, get out of here. Go make some
sales.
All
right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Good for you, brother. All right, now, a lot of you had questions, and like I said, we're going to answer some more questions here. We're going to open it up for Q&A, and then I'm going to bring out Caden, Jacob, and Jim. We're going to show you scripts on how to close, so you better be careful. We're about to get into closing, all right? So we're going to show you how to close with Jim, Caden, and Jacob. Now, a lot of you guys had questions about the plan. Do you want me to go over that plan real quick with you? Because I've seen some of you messaging me here privately like, hey, Jeremy, I didn't see the plan, or I was on half yesterday. Can you show me the plan again? Do you want me to show you what we're going to do for you to build that plan? Who would want me to show you the plan that you've already started to see just a few clients we've given you access to? We haven't even showed you hardly anybody, okay? All right, so let's do this. We're going to give you this plan, the NEPQ sales system. This is our newly enhanced NEPQ 2.0 fundamentals product. Has a value of $3,997. Literally, for the 322 of you that got started yesterday, you're going to have access to this in the next 20 minutes you can start logging in on your phone, on your Apple Watch, on your computer, whatever, and start learning how to sell more, okay? So write this down. Step number 1, let's go to the next slide. I'm gonna train you how to connect with zero resistance. Now, did you see what Caden showed you in Jim? Did you see how natural it sounded? Did you see how the prospects started to let their guard down? So we're gonna train you the same thing. Now, this has already been proven to work over and over again. We have a bit under 23,000 testimonials from our training program. How are we able to teach you how to get your prospects to let their guard down? Well, one thing we're going to teach you, besides just preventing objections and the questions, is we're going to train you how to master what we call the art and science of NEPQ looping. That's igniting curiosity strictly using your tone. Did you guys hear Jim's tonality? Did you feel Caden's tone? Did you feel how that felt safe and relaxed? Who wants to learn that type of tonality? Because that's what we're going to teach you in step 1. That is a game changer. Now, step number 2, this is crucial. We're going to teach you the right questions that help your prospects understand their real situation. Because as most of you know, when you first start talking to them, most of them don't really understand their real situation. Would we be right? So in this training part of the program, we're going to teach you the questions that raise your status immediately, like Caden and Jim just showed you, where they start to view you as more of an expert, a trusted authority, rather than just another salesperson trying to sell them something. So we're going to teach you the tone, how to do that, and the questions so they don't stay surface level. Now, type in me if you notice when you ask questions that you've been trained. This is not your fault, but it is your what? It is your problem that a lot of your prospects give you vague, generalized surface level answers. Type in me if that's you. So this doesn't happen once we train you the same tonality in questions that you've already started to hear. You with me on that? Let's go to step 2 is a game changer. If you only learn step 2, that alone can help you double your production of what you're doing now. Okay, now step number 3, we're gonna give you the sales ability with the right questions to find out what's behind the prospect's problems. Remember when I showed you a few examples of problem awareness questions today and yesterday, how I flipped the script where now they were defending themselves on actually why they didn't like what they had or why they wanted to change? Now remember, do human beings buy on logic or emotion? Emotion, right? Brain studies prove that, okay? Every decision a human being makes starts with their emotional side of their brain. I feel like having a drink of water. I feel like going to the bathroom. See, everything you do, decisions start with your emotional side, okay? Remember what we said. The 2 biggest emotional drivers that causes a human being to want to change are what? Pain and the fear of future pain. So if we can't help them relive their pain, because we don't know the questions to ask or how to use our tone, they feel no need to what? Change. And that's why so many of your prospects that have problems you could solve are not buying from you. These are crucial if you want to double or triple your sales than you are now. Let's go to step number 4. We're going to train you how to get your prospects. Who wants to learn how to get your prospects to qualify to you and pull you in rather than you trying to qualify to them where you have to push and pressure them? Who likes pressuring people anyways, right? That would be exhausting. So when you start to chase your prospects, what do? What do when you start chasing? They run, right? So if we were just training you traditional selling techniques that are pushy or high pressure, would we really have 23,000 testimonials from clients in the last 3 years? No, of course not, right? Of course not. There has to be a better, easier way that's proven in neuroscience. Remember, I went to school. I'm a nerd. That's all I know. I went to school for behavioral science and how the brain makes decisions. So type in me if you're just tired of being pushy and high pressure and you want to learn how to get the prospect to pull you in and actually open up to you, okay? So step by step, let's go to the next slide, zero guessing, where I'll cover everything A to Z in your sales process, okay? And a lot of you have been asking so many great questions, and I love how this group is engaged. Now, Anthony, do we even have, we're way over time because I want to answer their questions and I want to make sure that we teach them how to close. Should we show them the inside of the portal or should we just leave it? I think we should leave it for later, don't you? What do you think?
I don't know. Do they want it, guys? Are we still here? I know it's been 4 days, but do we have our committed, congruent sales pros here that are trying to level up? Are you guys still around?
Are they still here, Jeremy? Do you want me to show you the inside of the portal for like 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll open it up for Q&A? I could do that. Let's go to the next slide there, Beth. Go to the next slide there. Let's play that little video that they made for us. You guys want to listen to this for a second?
you ready to do sales differently?
Times have changed. You got to do something.
In these uncertain times, buyers are more skeptical than ever before. But a new model of selling is rising to meet the challenge.
We have to disarm the prospect.
Jeremy Miner, founder of the new model, along with his team at 7th Level, are changing how the game of sales is played. Introducing 7th Level's virtual training platform. That trains and teaches you this new revolutionary way to sell that's changed the lives of over 487,000 sales professionals in over 68 countries.
We're humanizing the sales process.
It's here and it works.
It's the new way of selling and it works. I am proof.
This feels so honest, and it feels like what we're doing, it just makes sense. When you think about the old way, you shake your head and just, it's like, why did we ever do it that way?
The new model of selling with its NEPQ method is the only friction-free sales system guaranteed to lift results. Enjoy 24/7 access and state-of-the-art forget-proof software, tailored levels of training at the touch of a button. With over 51 hours of new model tactics, selling is now simple and certain, since it works with how your prospects think and with how they like to buy.
It draws out emotion.
Finally, a duplicatable sales training system that lets you measure skills, predict results, and raise revenue in any economy. It's the future of selling. It's 7th Level virtual training with Jeremy Miner.
All right, I love that little video. That was really cool. That's an insight. Somebody's asking, does it train you how to sell fitness sales? Yes, we train every industry. We train 161 different industries. How many industries are there on the planet? You're on yesterday? According to Forbes magazine, there's only 163. There's subcategories of each one. We are in all those, including fitness. Fitness is one of the top 15 that we train. All right, now we're going to bring out another client here that's going to answer some of your questions. Do we have Daryl here? We have Daryl out in Africa. He asked us to come out here because what I'm going to do, this next step is we're going to give you access to right here. The third thing is the NEPQ phase breakdown, because a lot of you are like, hey, Jeremy, can you teach me how to tie this into my industry? Is that what some of you are wondering? Like, okay, I've seen these examples you've seen, and that sounds good, but can you show me how to do it for my industry? Is anybody wondering that? Type in yes if you're like, hey, can you show me how to tie it into fitness or SaaS or home improvement or cybersecurity or medical device or logistics or, staffing, recruiting? Okay, so every week, this is the training call I do that. So for the next 12 months, I'm going to show you industry-specific examples of every connection question, situation questions, problem awareness, solution awareness, closing questions, and even how to structure your presentations for the next 12 months. Type in 12 months if you feel, if I did that for you, that you would actually sell more than you are now. Type in me if you feel that. 12 months, if I could do that for you. You're going to hear my tonality. You're going to hear me role play the questions. You're going to see my body language. And we're going to do that with you for the next year. Now, those training calls are all live every week, but we also archive and record them. So if you miss a live version, you just plug into the recorded version, and you can even listen to it while you're driving in your car to work. Would that help you guys if I did that for you? If I dedicated a year for you? I'm a busy guy. So that means I've got to spend a year with you guys in group settings to train you all the different nuances for all the different industries. Would that help you if I did that for you? Okay, so let's bring out this client because this actually helped him get to a next level. Daryl, are you on here? Do we have Daryl? We have Daryl Mweezy there, because I know that when he was in the phase breakdown training, that I know he was always asking these questions. Daryl, what's going on, my man?
Yeah, doing well, staying out of trouble, just like you.
Where do you live? You don't even live here. Where do you live?
Yeah, I'm actually living in Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah.
You're in Nairobi, Kenya. And what industry are you in, Daryl?
Cybersecurity.
Okay, cybersecurity. Now, I remember you telling me once a while ago, because you've been in the training, I think, for about a little bit underneath, what was it, about a year, 8 months? How long has it been? Okay.
So right now it's about 8 months.
About 8 months, yeah. And you're in the same training program these guys can get into here in about 15 minutes. But you mentioned before you got started, you kind of believed in this lie that, how could Jeremy teach me how to sell cybersecurity? How could he show me how to sell more if he's never sold in my industry? What did you started to notice though after you got in the training?
Well, I just started to notice that it's, every stage is replicatable for every industry. And so, that definitely lowered down any doubts that I had within the system, right? Yeah. So that's basically it, yeah.
And results since I've landed this offer on the 15th of October, 2023 to the 31st of December, total revenue generated was, that's a big number, and I'm just not going to show everybody. I love to do that. I can't show these numbers because I just feel some of you, I just don't know if you're ready to hit bigger numbers without being committed. Daryl, how is sales a little bit different for you? A little bit happier? Are you sad? What's going on now? Is it better to sell more?
Yeah, it's definitely better, creates more clarity, and because I'm really passionate about helping people, so these specific process, helped me do the same thing for different prospects out there. So yeah, it's been really good.
Everybody give a round of hand of Daryl. We're gonna answer a few more questions, then we're gonna teach you how to close with Jim and Caden and Jacob. Daryl, congratulations. Go to bed. It's like probably 3 a.m. over there. You're like 9 hours.
I just have one last more sales call in the next hour.
One more sales call. Congratulations, all the way over in Nairobi, Kenya. Congratulations, my friend. Well done for you. Good job. Seriously.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody give him a hand. All right, so here's what we're also going to give you as well, because you're still asking me about this. We felt like, who in here cold calls? Type in me if you cold call, because this is a big thing we train. Go, keep going there here, Beth. So what I'm going to do for you with the cold calling, keep going one more, is I'm going to train you how to interrupt patterns. You remember how Caden talked about that was a pattern interrupt? Well, I'm going to show you how to pattern interrupt when you cold call. Who in here was on day one where I showed you 2 different examples for 2 different industries where I was shuffling the papers, where I was triggering curiosity with the pattern interrupts? Who wants me to show you how to pattern interrupt for your industry with the right questions, but with the right tone? Because if I did that for you for the next 12 months, do you feel like you would sell less or would you sell more if I trained you how to cold call for the next 12 months? You guys with me on that? Now, another thing that we felt was crucial for you guys, let's go to the next slide, is who in here calls outbound leads? Who calls outbound leads in here? Type in outbound if you do. Or who in here has client or prospects that book on your calendar like Jim? Maybe you meet them at their home, or maybe you meet them on Zoom, or you meet them in the business. So we're going to give you these scripts because I've got to train you connection questions. Remember, I showed you some from Jim, and I showed you some from Caden, and I showed you some yesterday from about 12 different industries. So I'm going to train you connection questions and how to get your prospects to let their guard down immediately. Now, if I trained you how to disarm prospects immediately, do you feel you would sell less or do you feel like you would sell more? Do you see the difference in that? Okay, let's go to the next one here, because I remember this client here. I remember this guy. I actually just met him about 2 weeks ago in Prague. We have Michael Kudkowski here, all the way from Norway. Do we have Michael Kudkowski? I wanted to bring this guy out because I met him in Europe. I was on a month trip to Europe, and I actually brought him onto my podcast. Michael, how are you?
I'm fine, Jim. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I want you. Maybe you guys can ask him some questions. So, Michael, first of all, congratulations. What you wrote here, #1 salesperson at Scandinavia's largest insurance company. Now, if you're not familiar with what Scandinavia means, that means Norway, Sweden, and Finland. So, Michael, what industry do you sell in?
I'm working in insurance. It's private insurance.
Yeah, so it's a private insurance to consumers, right? Okay.
It's completely different US.
Yeah, a lot different than the US, the way insurance works. So Michael is the #1 rep in his company. How many salespeople are in your company?
Like almost 4,000, I think so.
4,000. Who wants to become the #1 rep in your company because you have the skill level and the knowledge now? Because Michael, where were you in the company's rankings 3 years ago before you became a client? Where were you?
I was like in the middle.
You're right in the middle.
Average guy.
You're the average
like
guy.
Average guy. Yeah.
He's the average guy. And hey, congratulations. We met him in
Boring.
Prague. The boring guy. I brought him on the podcast. I love it. Now, you mentioned to me when we were in Prague here a couple weeks ago when I met you there, and we did some reels together, you were asking me some questions, that a long time ago before the training, because you're kind of watching me, the free content and the basic stuff, you had this like I don't want to call it a lie, but like this thought in your mind that, oh, NEPQ, that's an American thing. It wouldn't work over here in Europe or in Norway or in Poland. Like, Americans are just different. But what did you find once you got into the training program?
But the people around, my colleagues, all people told me, like, American people, they are evil. They want to just tell you the sales program, like NEPQ doesn't work in Norway, doesn't work in Poland. But when I started to learning NEPQ 2.0, then I realized that I'm working with a human. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you are from Poland, you're from Norway, you're from France. Yeah. You are still human, and you working with human every day. And nobody likes if someone, for example, push you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you work with humans, right?
Yeah. So
who in here works with humans that you talk to that have problems and or emotional needs? Now, do humans in Norway or humans in France or the United Kingdom or Australia or South America or Asia, are they humans too? Do they have problems? Do they have emotional needs?
Of course.
Of course. Well,
but Jeremy, you can always, because sometimes people, they're thinking, okay, how can I translate from English to Polish or Norwegian? But actually, NEPQ for me was really easy to translate, because if you know the culture, and the mentality of your country, this is much easier to using from English to Polish. And I know in the future you have the plan with AI also with languages. So it's the future, guys. So it doesn't matter.
Our training products are coming out in AI here shortly in all languages. It's going to be pretty cool with my tonality and everything. And I think this is why it's so important, because this is why I started 7th Level. I told you this, Michael, when I met you in Prague. Yeah. It's not just to help. I didn't start 7th Level just to help salespeople and companies make more sales or become number one in the market. I started 7th Level to help people like Michael and to help people like each of you. Because our mission as a company is to change the way sales is perceived in society. Because sales doesn't have to be pushy, it doesn't have to be high pressure. You already know, guys, that type of selling doesn't even work that way. You have to play the numbers game. And I want you to be able to help your prospects like our clients are, like Michael is. Michael, I just wanted to say congratulations. And I told you I'm coming to Norway next summer to interview.
Of course.
Word on that.
And I'm still on level 1, You're
still number 1.
Congratulations. We go to 7th level. So I'm still on the level 1,
I love it. Go to bed. It's like 3 a.m. over there. Thanks for being on.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Yes. And like I said, we are going to answer your questions. Some of you guys, when are we going to learn how to close? We are going to bring out Caden and Jacob. I'm just answering some of your questions. Now, I don't have to show you guys the plan. Some of you are complaining that I'm showing you a plan to help you sell more. We don't have to do that. Do you want us to do that? Because we don't have to help you sell more. We can keep that to ourselves. We can keep that to our clients. They already have those skills, because it has no impact on us or our clients if you don't learn the skills. Who does it impact? It only impacts you, right? If you don't acquire those skills. So the next important thing we're going to give you access to in this plan, if you want it, is we're going to give you a boot camp, a fast-track boot camp right away. So over the next week, go to the next thing, we're going to give you role plays with our sales trainers so you can master NEPQ quickly. And all these sessions, Tuesday and Thursdays, they're live and recorded in case you miss them as well. Now, I'm going to give you one last thing in this plan, and then we're going to wrap it up, okay? Because as a 7th bonus, we're going to give you this. I told you this yesterday, the NEPQ Black Book of Questions, the whole bundle. Now, this is the newest version. It's double the quality. I put in way more industry-specific stuff in here. I released this about 8 weeks ago. It's 243 additional NEPQ questions from door to door to outbound to inbound to proposals to board meetings, how to start those where you don't sound salesy, B2B, getting to the decision maker. It's all right here. And when you enroll in the plan today, the training, we're going to give it to you for free. Now, I will tell you, if you already have this, let me give you a warning. These are just words in a book. They are questions. If you don't understand how to ask the questions, you see how Jim and Caden and Jacob were, how their tone sounded? Can you master tonality by reading a book? No. And that's where the sale is made, by your tone, not necessarily just the words. You have to have both, okay? That's why the virtual training platform where I train you the tonality is key, to have the right questions and the tonality together, all right? Now, I want to ask this last client, because we had Jacob here. Jacob, are you back on here? Let's go to that next slide here. Because Jacob, we're going to bring you out here to teach him how to close here in a second. But Jacob, you became the rookie of the year in a company that has like 4,000 or 5,000. How many salespeople? Did you say 20,000?
Yeah, there's a ton.
Who wants to be the rookie of the year in your company if you're brand new to sales? Because what did you do before you got into sales? You're young, you're 25. What did you used to do?
I was an electrician. Went to school, didn't even know anything about sales, and now I love it.
He was an electrician, had no sales skills. You get into NEPQ, and what started changing? Because I remember you told us that you believed in this myth that to be good in sales, you just needed a great mindset. That skills didn't really matter. You just needed a great mindset. And where did that way of thinking get you before NEPQ?
I just wasn't making anything, to be completely honest. When you have the right skills and being able to talk to the prospect, listen, ask the right questions at any given time, that's where you can really start converting at the high rate at 80%.
Yeah, because personal development is great. But when the prospect picks up the phone or gets on Zoom or you meet him in person, if you don't know what to say and ask, that causes them to let their guard down. And if you don't know how to use your tone to get them comfortable to emotionally open up, all that personal development goes where?
Out the door.
Get smacked in the nose. And where does your confidence level go back down to?
It just drops.
Where your current skill level is, right? Now, who in here wants to start getting the skills that we trained this young man right here? Because we even have 75-year-olds that are learning these skills, crushing results, let alone 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. Who in here wants to learn those type of skills? All right, Jacob, stay on here because we're going to bring you out here to show them commitment questions here in a second, all right? So what we're going to get, like I said, I'm going to wrap this up for you in a bow time. I'm going to give you the newly enhanced 2.0 fundamentals. I'm going to give you the industry-specific training that I'm going to do with you in group sessions the next 12 months, where I'm going to show you the questions and role-play them with you. I'm going to go on a limb to say that might help you guys get better at sales. If you cold call, I'm going to train you how to cold call. We're going to train you how to call your leads or meet them personally with the scripts. I'm also going to give you a fast-track bonus with the boot camp to help you get started. I'm going to give you the whole bundle. Has a retail value of $15,043. Now, one thing I showed you guys yesterday, would anybody on here, when I showed you what NEPQ did for our first B2B client, has anybody ever heard, did anybody hear the story of this company that we train? Has anybody ever heard of this company on here? Type in yes if you've ever heard of this company I'm showing you right here. This was our first B2B client. Anybody ever heard of them? Okay. So one of our corporate clients, we trained 3 of their divisions, all right? Now, like I said yesterday, that they wired us 88 grand to train them for what was it, 3 days. It actually was only 66,000. We went back and looked at the bank accounts. I was like, oh, it was actually less than what I said. Oh, I got to be full disclosure here. But that's $22,000 a day that they trained me, that 6 years ago, they paid me, first client, to train them for 3 straight days. That's $22,000 a day. Now, how many of you would you like to see Google AdWords sales figures that we got them in the first 3 months with that investment? Would you like me to show you the data that they sent us? Let's go to the next page, because they had to audit it 4 times. They didn't believe it. You see that number in green? 244% sales increase in the first 90 days. Not 5%, not 20%, not 30%. Who in here, if you increased your sales by 244%, would be happy with that? Anybody? Type in me if you'd be happy with that, okay? And within that first year, we made them an extra 106 million in revenue in those 3 divisions. Now, was it worth their investment of 66,000 to make an extra 106 million? Was it worth it? Yes or no? Who on here, and I want to ask you this, who on here would do that? Who on here would invest 66,000 in your skill level if you knew you could get a 244% increase in sales? Who in here would do that? Type in me if that's you. Type in me if that's you. Some of you, you're like, who would invest even half of that? That's what I want to know. Who would invest half of that? 33,000. If you knew that if we train you for the next 12 months, you would learn the skills that could take you to that level. Who would invest half that? I mean, that's a crazy thing because you could buy a really expensive watch with that. Why would you invest in your skill level? You see what we're talking about? And who would even invest half of that? Like, who would invest even half of 33? So what is that, 16,000? If you knew we could train you the skills that it would take to what? Triple your sales in the next 3 months. Who would do such a crazy thing as to invest in your skill level? Type in me if that is you, if you would invest in your skill level, if you knew that. Because what I'm going to ask you is this: what if we even dropped it in half? What if we dropped it down to 8,000? Who would invest 8,000 if you knew we could train you the skills it would take to be able to triple your production than you are now? Type in me if you would do that. Because if you were on yesterday, you saw that we're not even going to have you do that. We're not even going to have you invest that much with the plan we put together. Was everybody here? Did I show you what I'm doing for you yesterday before we train you commitment questions on how to close? We dropped it all the way down the plan to 4,997. That's 58% off today. Now, the question is, why are we being so generous in doing this for you? You know why? Well, I actually like you. I think you're actually really cool. I think, Anthony, has this been one of the most engaged groups we have ever trained, with all the comments, with all the learning? There's only been a few negative Nancys I've seen, but has this been a pretty engaged group? What are your thoughts?
That's the rumor going around the office right now. But I mean, you guys tell us. Is this the high level group? Is this the most engaged group? Is it?
Because everyone knows that this obviously works. I mean, we have a bit under 23,000 testimonials. We already trained clients in your industry watching us right now, because you see the smartest people in the world, like I mentioned yesterday. I think you agree on this because you're a high level room. Smart people do what? They take calculated risk. You know what that means? You know what that means? The smartest people like you know that there's a difference between purchasing something and investing in something. Do you know what that is? There's a massive difference. Listen, write this down for you. An investment in your skill level as a salesperson does what? What does investing in your skill level do for you? Well, it continues to what? Make you sales your entire life. A purchase, like if you buy a new truck or a designer handbag, does that give you skills? It gives you an emotional high for a few days, and then it's gone forever, right? A purchase makes you no money. It just takes your money. But an investment in your skill level as a salesperson does what? It keeps making you more sales. It gives you returns forever. So as you were on here yesterday, we decided to do something even crazier, didn't we, Anthony? And we decided to give you an NEPQ scholarship. So once you start getting results from the training, okay, we want you to send us a video testimony of the results you're getting from it. And if you agree to do that, we're going to drop it down another 50%. So 50% off today. You can get started today in the plan for 2,493. You see those skills that Jim has, that all these clients were starting to show you, that Caden has, the tonality? Would it be worth investing 2,493 in your skill level for you to get the results that our clients are getting? Many of them are in your industry. Would it be worth for you investing doing that if we were to do that for you? So all you got to do is go to getnepq.com. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do to actually learn the skills to sell more. Are you ready to do that? because this is a high level room, right? Now, it's our job as a sales training company to help you. So on top of everything else, what I'm also going to do is, if you don't have the full funding today, because I'm going to make this easy for you guys, because do we have a moral obligation to help you get in the training so you can sell more? Yes or no? Do I have a moral obligation, if I know if we train you, you can sell more, to help you get in the training? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do we have a moral obligation if I know that if you get in the training, you can sell more? Yes or no? I do, right? So on top of everything else, if you don't have the full funding today, all you have to do is put down $997 today. That's it. And then 2 additional payments of $997. Would that help some of you if we did that for you? So just go right there, getnepq.com, and you can get started right now. Okay, and you do have 2 options, like I said. If you can get the full funding together, which is probably what 82% of our clients do, you can save around $500. That's why they do it. Or if you don't have the full funding today, we let you put down $997 and then 2 additional easy payments of $997. That is all you have to do to start getting the skills that you heard Caden and Jacob and Jim, and I've only let you talk to even 5 or 6 people in the last couple of days out of tens of thousands. And did you remember what I said yesterday? For the first 103 yesterday who got their funding together, we were going to give them something on top of that. Who was on here yesterday? Who got into NEPQ 2.0? Type in 2.0 if you did. Remember I said for the first 103 yesterday, I was going to give you the objection obliteration entire course that has a 2463 value. It's a standalone product from everything else. Is going to give it to you for free. Who in here loses sales to objections? This book right here, the top 50 objections plus the course, I'm going to show you how to even prevent a lot of those from happening. Now, Anthony, when did you say this the deal and the discount would end that we were offering everybody for the plan? And then, like I said, we're going to bring out the guys to help them close the deal.
Yes, so deal is ending midnight at PST, midnight tonight. So 12:01, goodbye. That's what we said, Jeremy. That's what we agreed on.
We have to do 12:01. It ends tonight at midnight Pacific Standard Time. So when you click on the link, 12:01, guess what happens? I think we put something that's like or something like that, and it goes back to the regular pricing of $4,997, which I know our CEO Marco Cortese would definitely want you to invest in the full price, because I think it's still pretty cheap. I mean, investing $5,000 to learn these skills that we're starting to show you, isn't that pretty cheap compared to the results you can get? So if you're able to get your funding before, we're going to drop it in half. So what would it be worth for you guys to know how to overcome objections you are losing sales from now? Because let's go to that next slide. Look at all these objections on the next slide. Look at all these objections. Look at all these objections. How many sales do you lose when the prospect says, I need to think it over? Send me some references. This is too expensive. I'm going to try to do this myself. I need to pray about it. I'll get back to you, and they never do. See those objections on that screen? I want you to take the top 2 you lose sales from and type it in the chat right now. Look at the objections I just showed you. The 2 biggest ones you lose sales from, type it in the chat right now. I want to see which ones you are struggling with the most, because you know what? When you log into the training portal, I show you how to overcome those. I'm going to show you the language patterns. I'm going to show you how to do advanced looping. I'm going to show you reframing and pre-framing techniques that prevent objections from happening. Guess what? I use those myself in my almost 18-year sales career before I started 7th level, and I was making millions of dollars a year in commissions, straight commissions. Now, somebody at my level, do you believe I could train you skills so you could overcome those objections? Who in here believes that me, Anthony, and our sales trainers could train you how to overcome those objections and it would help you sell more? Who believes that? Go to the next slide here, because look at these objections on the next slide, Beth. How many sales do you lose from these objections? I don't want to go into debt. I don't want to commit to anything. I need to ask my mom, my brother, my financial advisor, my uncle lives in Japan. Is this a scam? I've just got a fear that it won't work out. It sounds too good to be true. Can you just give this to me for free? And once I make money, I'll pay it back. Can you give me any guarantees? I've never done this before. That's more money than I've ever invested. I'm still price shopping. I want to speak to other companies. I never make rash decisions. We already use Vendor X. Why should we go with you? How many sales do you lose every single week because you don't know how to help your prospects overcome those objections? How much is that worth to you? How much is that worth to you? Because what I always hear, let's go to this next slide. I always say selling can be the highest pain. So here's what we're going to do. I forgot about this. So what I'm going to do, I'm only going to open this up for 43 of you. There are well over 1,000 of you on here, like 1,200 or something. So for the next 43 of you, I'm only going to do it for the ones who are quick, because I want to see who are committed to actually taking action to learn the skills so you can help your prospects, you can help your family financially, because you learn skills to what? Sell more. Because is selling something you do to people, is selling something you do to companies, or is selling something you do to help your prospects solve their problems and get where they want to be? That's what selling really is. So for the first 43 of you, you're gonna have to move quick. Last time when we opened it up yesterday to 103, that was gone in like 19 or 20 minutes. So for the first 43 of you who get in the training program right now, we're gonna give you the objection handling course for absolutely for free. Not 44 of you. If you're the 44th person, nothing I can do. You gotta move quick. This will probably be gone in about 10 or 11 minutes, realistically, all right? So here you go. Let's go to the next slide here, and then we're gonna open it up for Q&A, and we're gonna close it out. So remember what
Jeremy, some people are saying, what about funding? Do you guys have funding? So would it help you guys if we dropped the link in the chat right now where you can do a funding application to see if you're eligible for us to actually help you get the funding together? I'm not saying we could, but we'll drop a link in the chat.
Yeah. We have third-party lenders that they're willing to loan funding for you to help you get in the training. So I think that's a really good blessing. Because what's the difference between good debt and bad debt? Can anybody tell me? Bad debt is consumer debt, right? That's like you taking a card, you go to the mall, you buy clothes, you buy jewelry, you buy a new TV, you buy a new car, because how much of that debt makes you money? 0. Now, good debt, according to like Warren Buffett, investors, the top 1%, is taking money and investing in your skill level or assets so you what? Make more money. That's good debt. Smart people know that good debt invested in skill level helps them do what? Make more money. You see the difference between bad debt, consumer debt, compared to good debt. Completely different, all right? So we're gonna drop in some links here. You're able to meet with our third-party lenders. You can jump into these Zoom chats with some of our account managers if you have questions.
Yeah. Also, someone's saying, is it going to do a hard hit on my credit? So this is just an internal application that goes to our funding managers. It's not going to hit any credit. This is just a form to fill out, and then our funding managers will reach out if they can help you. Also, why don't we drop a link, team, in the chat? We've got some of our account executives. Some of you are saying, I need to speak to someone. So we'll open up, if you are not a client, if you have not purchased yet, you are not a client of ours, then you can join this link and speak to one of our account executives live. If you're already a client or you already purchased, that's not the room for you. Stay here because we're about to do more training.
Yeah, we're about to do a lot more training for you guys as well. Okay, so what we're gonna do, like I said, let's go to the next slide here, because here's what I always say. Selling can be the highest paying job in the world. Yes or no? Can selling be the highest paying job in the world if you learn the right skills, the right questions, the right tonality, the right reframing to prevent objections, right? But on the flip side, it can be the hardest, lowest paying job when you don't what? When it's done poorly because you don't learn the skills. You know what? And Anthony, I've got a kind of a crazy idea here. I want to know from you guys, because there was 322 of you that got started in the plan yesterday. And I'm sure there's probably at least another 100 of you that just got started right now. If you purchased NEPQ 2.0 fundamentals yesterday, or last night, or this morning, or today, or in the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes, in the chat, I want you to type in, I invested. In the chat, I want you to type in, I invested. In the chat, type in, I invested. If you just became a client, even in the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I invested. Because I want to hear from you why you invested. Why did you invest in your skill level? I want to hear from you. I love hearing from our new clients. Would it be a crazy idea if I brought a few of you out in maybe 5 or 10 minutes and talk to you about why you invested in your skill level? Who would want me to bring you out and maybe about 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes after we do the training? Who would want me to bring you out where I can actually ask you some questions on why you invested in your skill level? If you did that, type in, I invested, and we'll have somebody on the team reach out to you, because we're going to bring out 3 or 4 of you because I want to hear from you. So Belent and Maite, if you guys can send maybe 5 or 6 of them, we'll pull them up here in a minute, pick the ones you want to pick, and we'll bring them up here in about 15, 20 minutes, okay? All right, now I will tell you, let's go to the next slide. Like all these people are posting everywhere, NEPQ is spreading around the world like wildfire. Look at what this recruiting agency